On Facebook.
Your milkshake. I drink it up.
Donnie.
Yeah.
Guy's German here wants to die for country. Oblige him.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hell, I'd get you towed by 3 o'clock this afternoon with nail polish.
We have you 4-1.
I like those odds.
It's the Smoking Hot Nerds podcast.
That's all right, dude. That's a 1 minute 400 twice.
You're a loser.
Like if you break that down, that's 8 15-second 100s.
Is that good?
That's tough.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
yeah.
mean, just look at here. I'll show you.
What are you doing?
Oh, we're live. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Oh yeah. Hey Nico, pull your
Hey,
pull
everybody.
your
I was hoping we were.
thingy down. You got a lot of headroom on you in the stream here. Just a tinge, just a little tinge.
Oh,
There
you
we
wanna
go.
see mine.
There we go. That's better. Ooh, hey, that's a good shirt.
Oh, look
Yeah.
at you. And I've got Wakanda symbol.
Yeah, I buy it. I'm
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, it works. I should have worn you got me a Winter Soldier shirt where Captain
did.
America and Black Widow are building a Winter Soldier snowman
Yeah.
for Christmas.
It's all right.
Yeah, I should have worn that tonight. I forgot about that.
I
Oh,
mean, you
well.
only have like 4 t-shirts, so.
Yeah. Well, no, I have two of these, like the white ones.
Okay.
And then I have varying colors of this one. Plus
Turning it inside out doesn't count as
Four.
a second t-shirt.
4 or 5.
Totally, because it's tagless. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's reversible.
The only thing I turn inside out is my
Like
gym
Michael
clothes.
Jordan.
Yeah.
Oh man.
The only thing I turn inside out's my underwear. Don't worry.
It's fine. Because then you just get all your Grundle monster on your jeans when you turn it inside out. It's not, and your jeans
That's
never
like-
get dirty.
Then
There's
when
a,
you turn your jeans inside out
Right.
too, then the Grundle monster's showing
Yeah.
everybody.
And it's basically just Howie Mandel from Little Monsters crawls out and attacks some little kids.
That'll get you on a list.
Yeah. Speaking of little kids, so I never leave the office in the middle of
Not
the
getting
day.
better.
Yeah.
Not getting better.
No, we're gonna get there. but one of my headlights is out, so I was going to the auto zone to get some fuses because I changed the light bulbs, still out. Got some fuses. Spoiler alert, still out. So I'm gonna have to take it to a professional. But as I was going, it was 3 o'clock and I didn't realize, 3 o'clock's when school gets out. So I'm trying to cross the street where they've got the old ladies with the stop signs. Yeah. So they're stopping the traffic so that the kids can cross. But it's just an endless stream of kids.
Oh, they didn't like halt them after like 50?
No, she just kept on stopping the traffic.
like
so eventually I got to
on
the
the kiddie
line.
train.
Yeah. I got to the
Like
line
waiting
and
for trains.
she turns around and she goes, "I'm sorry." She mouths, "I'm sorry." I was like,
I
"What are
have no
you
power
sorry
here."
for?" Literally all you have to do is stop them. They don't have anywhere to go. They're not on their way to work. Like, just
only-
stop them and let a few cars go.
Count to 30.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Hold them up and let traffic clear, and then,
That
Well,
was
here's
bonkers.
Here is one question: were they all on their phones, not paying attention, So they were just gonna keep walking, she's like, stop!
The
stop!"
kids? Oh,
They all
maybe.
just
Yeah,
pile
the
onto the
earbuds.
street and get run over.
No, but what they did do is there's like there's a zone around a school, I think, in a kid's mind, and once you get outside of the zone, you're kind of free to like be who you are. And I saw that as the kids crossed the street that I was sitting on, they just turned into psychos. Yeah, out of nowhere. It was like they passed through the Wakandan barrier and then they just turned into absolute monsters. Or like
Start
there was
running, just
there were groups of girls that just once they got to the other side of the street, they just sat down and just kind of hung out there and they were just like playing, or hanging out or whatever. I thought it was just very, very weird. So I turn around. So anyway, so
Nice.
I
They
back
wanted to
up.
be outside.
I'm just like, screw this. I'm not waiting. I'm just going to go like around. So I back up and I drive away and then I
Just slowly pushed forward.
Yeah.
Ever so
Just
gently
creep
nudging
through.
them out of the way.
Yeah, it was
One of
big,
them kind of got under. It's fine. I took a broomstick to him. Get hey!
like a peaceful protest and a Ford Explorer. So I turn my car around and I go, and then as I'm about to turn on the street that I'm going to use to go around, there's a mom with 2 kids and a stroller, and she's like doing that thing where she's like takes a step out and then she holds the kids and sees me, and then she takes a step but then holds the kids and then steps back and then steps forward, and I was just like, are we going or are we not? Like, what are we doing here? I was like, maybe I'll just never get my headlight fixed ever because I'm never going to get out of this circle of death.
Sounds like Agatha from Wonder Vision was trying to stop you. Get your headlight fixed.
She
She's
might
putting
have
every
been.
obstacle in your way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
You're-
if I
you're-
could just guess.
If
you're in the
if
Truman Show.
guess
They
what
keep
was
blocking
happening. She sent me 2
Yeah,
visions.
it's a Truman Show.
Yeah.
You got 2 visions.
and a dead terrier. It was a rough day.
Sparky.
Yeah, Sparky.
Sparks in your headlights.
Hey, there you go.
Making all the connections tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
It's going to be a real show tonight, folks. Because we're talking on the Marvel train, we are talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
The newest. Yeah, it is the newest, isn't it, of the Marvel franchise
is,
to come out.
Right, it is the
The
current-
latest.
That has come out.
newest and latest.
Mhm.
There's still some stuff that's pending. There's some stuff that's been like bumped and moved around, but yeah, this is the latest in that like powerhouse train of entertainment.
Because we got
out of
Loki
Marvel
next.
Studios.
Loki's coming up.
Yeah,
Next, I
soonish
think,
now.
yeah.
A couple weeks, maybe?
Uh,
Early June? Or is it
June, I
mid-June?
think, yeah.
yeah, sounds right.
And then after that, Black Widow movie. Is that the
Widow
next
in
film?
July?
Yeah.
Yes.
July 9th. Because for work, I looked. I was like, what the heck is coming up in movies?
Yeah.
And I was like, not a lot.
Not
I
much.
was expecting much more.
I'm already not looking forward to next year's Oscars.
What did I see today?
I mean,
oh,
there's
I saw
stuff, but
Yeah, not a
there
lot.
was an ad for the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard.
Bodyguard.
Which is
Yeah.
the sequel to the Hitman's Bodyguard with Ryan Reynolds. But it's interesting because Ryan Reynolds already has like an action movie in the can called Free Guy,
Yeah.
Right.
and it's like,
That's not come out yet.
Yeah, it comes out in August now,
Oh, wow.
and it's like, what? Just release it, man. Like
Hmm.
at this point, just get it out. Like,
Yeah. Let's go.
you're not gonna you're never gonna recoup where you were. So release.
Mm-mm.
There's no magic for the next 2 years. There's no release magic. Just
Mm-mm.
you just got to dump it out there.
Yeah.
Sounds like a personal problem.
There ain't no magic, love. Just dump it.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
anyway,
No release magic.
Yeah.
oh, you got like spoilers on the old overlay. I just noticed.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're a spoilers show, aren't we? So
Sorry,
I got the
everybody. Not
the-
sorry.
before and
Spoiler
after.
alert, the Winter Soldier is boring.
Yeah. It is. That's a tough role because he gets a couple of. So I rewatched the first, sort of like the. It's not really cold open, but the first 10 minutes or so of the first episode, and then I watched the last episode just to kind of get a refresher. And that last episode is hilariously like low energy Bucky. If you notice that whole like section where Sam flies in and he's like, gotta get the hostages out. And every time they cut back to the Winter Soldier, he's just walking very slowly. and brooding wherever he's
like,
going.
on the phone,
Yeah.
too, just like slowly getting distracted, and he's just like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, dude, I've done all this.
Yeah.
I could care less.
Yeah,
but
he's very
here
tired.
I am."
He's very tired. Well, he saved the world a couple times. He's murdered a few people. He's
Right.
he's lived a life. But yeah. But anyways, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think we all liked it, right?
Yeah, I did overall.
Yeah, I it had an interesting pacing to it, which I thought was really good. That it had it instead of going the route of just being like a episodic action movie, right? Like every episode is action, 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 action. They actually tried to create a world in which you could have like exposition and life that wasn't revolved around them being superheroes. You know, they had the whole. It was actually it was really interesting, and I think this is what captured me the most was that they had the whole thing of like the fact that Sam, who plays Falcon, blipped. You know, he was gone, and then when he comes back, then they've got the issue of like, oh well, yeah, we know who you are, but like you can't get a bank loan because you have no credit history for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I'm Falcon, and he's like, yeah, I'm sorry, man. It was just so it was interesting how like the logistics or the what's the right word? I want to say administration, but the bureaucracy. How the bureaucracy of stuff has to be, even though there was this huge event that pretty much should have just put like an asterisk on everything. And then, yeah, they just did a great job of creating a sense where action needed to exist and that there was a quote unquote bad guy. But it was kind of like the bad guy is only the bad guy from a certain perspective.
Yeah.
From a completely different perspective, they're the good guys. You know, so that's what I thought was really great about it. It wasn't like there was, you know, like Red Skull or Thanos or whatever. It was the bad guy was the processes put in place to kind of recover from a really bad thing. And yeah, so it was super interesting because you couldn't be really mad at anyone.
Well, I think
Except
that's
for
something.
when they killed when they killed the Hawk, who's like the pseudo Falcon. When he died, that was interesting because everyone was like, "Oh man, somebody died." It's like you guys are all super soldiers. I'm sure this can't be like the Batman I don't kill people thing when like you're throwing people through stone pillars and
You mean
windows.
Battlestar when he dies?
Yeah, is that his
Oh,
name?
yeah.
I totally forgot.
Well, that's a bummer though because that's a character that could have had some legs because he was U.S. Agent's partner, you know, when he was Captain America. So it's kind of a bummer that they kind of like burned that character. But I get it; they needed to give the new Captain America a reason to freak out and lose his mind. So I get that, but it was kind of burning a pretty cool comic book character. I think that they could have
And I think
used.
that actor, I was like,
Yeah.
okay,
He's a really good actor too.
And again, I get it where it's like he's kind of the moral anchor for Walker, and so when he goes away, Walker's just like released.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they needed that push.
Yeah.
But my whole issue with that just in general is that how when it happened, everyone was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Whoops." Like you're telling me that in the whole process of you being the flag smashers that you didn't accidentally kill somebody? This is the first time somebody died.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Well, it was the first time that someone died because she says it in the last episode where she said, "I'm sorry your friend died, but you know, I don't mean to kill people who don't matter." And so that was kind of like their whole thing is like they don't want to kill bystanders. They don't want to kill people who are not in charge of this relocation of people and everything. So, but I mean, that was also a pretty good line because it, you know, pisses off Walker pretty good where he's like, you know, you're saying my friend doesn't matter sort of thing. But yeah, I like that character. But I thought I liked the show way more than I thought I would. But, you know, overall, I think Marvel just does a great job. There is a lot of moral ambiguity. I mean, there's even a lot of moral ambiguity in Thanos, even though he's sort of like this guy who's kind of conquering worlds. He's sort of weirdly doing it for like a good reason, you know, in his own mind. Right. So that's kind of what makes him makes him very interesting. But it does make me want to go back and watch the movies again to kind of get a sense of the Falcon and Winter Soldier's relationship throughout the series, because I think that there's a lot of that in the movies that you miss if you haven't. I mean, it's a decade of movies, so
Civil War, they have moments because they're
Oh, for
fighting
sure.
Spider-Man.
yeah.
So even it's during a fight, but still.
Well, even like the very subtle little like, are you going to move the seat up? Is a callback to.
Yeah.
Is that for Civil War or is that from Winter
Yeah,
Soldier? I
Civil
don't remember.
War.
Yeah, where they're in the same car and like Sam's in the back and Bucky. They're in like a Volkswagen Beetle or something like that.
Yeah.
He's like, "Can you move the seat up?" Nope.
No.
Just a silly little like, little nudge.
Yeah.
Which is still funny when you don't know the backstory, but it's just extra funny because you know it's a callback.
Yeah.
And a reversal of fortunes.
Yeah. I think the best thing about it from just sort of like the cultural phenomenon perspective is that they went ahead and just went after the topic of, does it make sense for, would a black Captain America work, in today's climate? I think that was something that was addressed in the comic book as well when he became Captain America. So, always sort of a relevant topic. But I enjoyed that they just sort of went at it, but didn't do it until whatever it was, like episode 5, I think. We didn't really know why Sam gave up the shield. We didn't really know why he was sort of memorializing Captain America instead of taking up the mantle and becoming Captain America. But you never thought about the fact that it was because he just didn't feel like he would ever be accepted as and thought of as and all that kind of stuff, because of the fact that he was black. So I really liked that they went ahead and did it, but we're also like subtle with it to the degree that it felt real. It felt like a real struggle that he was dealing with, and also put the words in Bucky's mouth too, where he was kind of apologizing sort of like on the behalf of everybody, saying, I never thought about how hard it would be to be a black Captain America. That never crossed my mind. All he thought about was Sam threw away this huge opportunity that Steve Rogers gave him. That's all he was doing in his sort of selfish.
Star, baby.
Yeah, right. You gotta.
I was gonna be your U.S. agent.
Well, that's not how he would say it. He would say it more like, "Could have been a star."
You could have been a star and you threw it away.
Yeah, and it's really
Sam
good that
Elliott
like,
as the Winter
the
Soldier.
message that they delivered there wasn't such a hard hammer of dialogue right over the top, because like there's definitely like the undertones, but the way it's really, really important to know that the way that he said it and the way he approached it is so authentic, because Bucky's white.
Yeah.
So he's never going to understand.
From the 40s.
Right.
And,
right. Yeah.
Right. So he's never going to understand. So he's never going to be able to put the perspective in to understand the connotation, understand the weight. He's just not going to get it. Because he's just dealing with I used to be the Winter Soldier and I killed people. It's like, yeah, that's nothing. Like, man, you got nothing.
Yeah. He does have his own sort of demons and things that he has to overcome, which is great. Did he ever?
And relatable. I think we've all been frozen by foreign agents to be thawed out to become murder assassin machines, only to be frozen again.
I mean, if
we've all been there.
If I had a nickel for every time I killed a guy who just happened to see me murder someone,
Every time someone starts saying the magic words, Davenport, SpaghettiOs, I go,
right. Chicken pot pie, Grundle monster.
Start punching the glass container I'm in randomly.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's talk about Zemo. He was a great addition to the show.
Yeah.
I hope we see more of him.
Yeah, that's I don't want to give my summation, but I gotta say, leaving the show, I'm looking very forward to these other characters.
Yeah.
And
because
number one being Zemo.
Yeah.
What happened?
For sure.
The Wakandans took him as prisoner, right?
Yeah.
So then they took him to the raft. So
oh,
he's
that's
in
right.
the
That's
ocean
right.
prison.
Okay, so he's not in
where
Wakanda.
They were in. Man, I forget that happens in Civil
That's in Civil War.
Civil War, I think.
Because Tony goes and visits, and it's what's his name, Thunderbolt Johnson, John Hurt. What's his name?
Yeah, that's
the
it. Senator
general?
Thunderbolt Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. You're right. Keep going.
Yeah,
Donkey Thor.
Yeah, was that Civil War? I thought that was after Civil
That's
War.
Civil War. That
Is
was
it?
still Civil War.
yeah.
That's a long movie.
War's got a lot of
Right,
stuff
because
in
they,
that.
they get arrested in Civil War after the fight in Germany, and then Tony Stark goes, and that's when he's like, I was wrong. Tell me where Zemo is, or tell me where Cap went. And he's talking to Falcon, actually.
Okay.
And he's like, man, I can't betray my friend. He's like, and that's when Tony Stark was like, I was wrong. Here's all the evidence. I'm still an a-hole, but we got to do something about this. Yeah, so that's all Civil War stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, I gotta watch all
He
that
got
again.
the info. He put his sunglasses on and turned. Bow, 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 bow.
Helicopter
He said, I'll see you later,
Iron
Thunderbolt
Man.
Johnson. Up yours.
He's like, that's Senator Thunderbolt Johnson to you, Stark.
Meet the new boss.
I did see that scene randomly. It was because he gets in the helicopter and he's flying away, and then the helicopter turns him into an Iron Man.
And he swoops down and
Yeah.
becomes Iron Man.
It's
Yeah.
very
out of
Jetsons,
it.
like laying down, getting ejected into
Well, yeah,
his iron suit.
Pushes the button and it like crawls up his finger.
Yeah,
It's always easier for me to get ejected if I'm laying down.
right. With just one finger.
Touch your magic button.
Yeah. So, but yes. So Zemo, fantastic addition. I
Yes.
really did not see it coming that Carly was going to be the power broker. Thought that was a cool thing, or not Carly. Sorry. Whatever her name is.
Hi, Carly.
Agent Carter.
Yeah, Agent Carter. Yes.
Sharon.
Farron. Really?
Sharon.
Sharon. I thought you said Farron. Like that's not her name. I know that.
Duh.
Yeah. But yeah,
remember?
that was a solid little twist because I think she's a fantastic character and a really good actor, and so it was like a fun character then to say, oh, cool, so she's going to be a bit of an antagonist, and perhaps everybody in this show is goodish. Like really, Sam's kind of the
Right.
only
From a
guy who
certain
you can really go. Sam had the
great.
purest, sort of motives, but everybody can go back and forth. There was Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Do you remember the character?
Yes.
Remember the character Thunderbolt Johnson? What is his name?
That Ferengi.
Yeah, the Ferengi. So you had the Ferengi who was kind of like the Quark. Yeah, he was a sleazy jeweler.
We did it.
And then you had Rene Auberjonois playing the sort of shape-shifting character who was the chief of security. And so they always had this.
Odo?
Oh no.
That one, I don't know that one.
Flobo.
I know what you're talking about, but
Yeah, it's something.
Flutie.
But you always had this love-hate relationship between the two of them, where one was never on the never on the up and up with each other, but kind of you knew at the end of the day though that they were gonna like do the right thing or whatever.
like
Seemed
same
there was-
team,
yeah,
different approach.
There's a lot of that in this show where everybody's gonna look out for their own interests, but at the end of the day, most likely you're gonna do the right thing, with the exception of Carly, because you see her turn. You see her like go from should I or shouldn't I, and then she decides, yeah, we're just gonna kill everybody. And so that's what I liked about this show in general was that everybody kind of had their own perspective and had their own fish to fry, which I really, really liked.
Yeah, it didn't have that like one step plot where there's like a single motivation, and it was realistic enough that you could tell that like 1,000 feet down the road everyone had the same goal, but how people were maneuvering to get there. And they talked about that when the revelation that she is the power broker comes in, if you start rolling back in your mind, you're like, oh, of course she is. That makes all the sense in the world. And the opportunity, the contacts,
Having all those real masterpieces in her apartment. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just all that stuff where you're like, oh, this totally gets it. And then the flag smashers of being the super soldiers, but they were just like not wrong, but they're like, hey, we were here for 5 years. And now all of a sudden the people blink back in. You're like, okay, by the way, that house you're living in is not yours anymore, or this land. Like, so it's kind of like, right. It's just at the end of the day, everyone just wants it to be back to a situation that is considered normal. It's just from each different group's perspective, that normal is different and it will clash. But then, then the Smashers go a little nutballs and start doing like the global terrorist kind of thing, which is like, that's not the way to do that. But they don't know any better. Like they're just at the end because they were low, and then the blip happened, and then they were riding high, and then they got into like it's kind of like Demolition Man. This is a stretch, but it's kind of like Demolition Man, where
I'm listening.
I know you are. But they get to that utopian society where it's like, and just be cool, man. Like, there's no reason to be violent. They're all in this little happy place, and then something comes in and disrupts the whole thing to try to set it back. And they're just like, I just want it to be back to this nice, cool, calm, chill thing that we had. What happened? And like, well, I'm more powerful than you, so sorry. Like, oh, but the power wasn't even a concept 2 years ago. Like, there was literal world peace. And now you're like, but I'm rich. Like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get it. That's why this show's so good, because that complexity could have been blown. Like, they could have totally screwed that up plot wise, but they nailed it, and they made all of the avenues feasible, which is why it's so good.
Right.
And then to handle it episodically, so you get just these tiny little revelations, these tiny little fixes, knowing that there's this much larger problem. It's super good.
There's nuggets of information and teasers and Easter eggs, which I didn't have the patience to go through during all of the during the credits, the end credits. So as the end credits are going, which I enjoy that Marvel's doing that right now, that they're not doing an intro, that they're doing the show, and then the last 10 minutes is all credits, but it's kind of nice that they're doing it differently. But so in the credits, there were always kind of moments where there was some kind of writing, and then it would like kind of get swooshed off by whatever the credit was. So sometimes it would say, so there were always these little teasers in there. So if you would go into like, YouTube channels where people have the freaking time to do this, and they go in page by page and find each one of those Easter eggs. So, I mean, they're going to great lengths to, give information, tease things, but the complexity that lies within all of the Marvel universe is just is really cool, and it's very, very immersive and, kind of fun, because there's also this never-ending wealth of source material. So this storyline of Falcon and the Winter Soldier is kind of from like probably 30 years of comic books that they've cherry-picked people from it and put it all into this storyline. One of which, of course, is the John Walker, the other Captain America, which we see at the end of episode 1, right? The very end of episode 1.
Yeah, the reveal is episode 1.
And they did a beautiful job, because he ends up looking cool in episode 2, but in episode 1, when they do the reveal, they got the hat smashed down on his head, and his ears are flopped down, and his lips are kind of like he looks like a complete doofus. And it was just perfect, because it was like giving us a bizarro Captain America that we didn't expect.
Right, like one of these moments where you can probably say the costume people meant for it to look that way. Where you usually never do that, but here's a moment where you go, right, you hope, but you go, okay, it was supposed to look off. You're supposed to look at him and go, almost.
Yeah, well, I think it was
not right.
Yeah, it was like a Pinterest nailed it post, or it just didn't quite nail it.
It was supposed to look like, oh, he's gonna die.
Yeah.
like, ooh, yeah, no, he's gonna. Well, because I think what they also did successfully, whether it was intentional or not, was, if you remember back to the original Captain America, he wasn't necessarily a soldier. He was selling war bonds. Yeah. So he had this he
was just a model. They're like, hey, get up here, model.
Put this costume, like a literal costume, and everything was how it would have been in the comics, where it was like a cloth with the cloth wings and all that stuff, like not armor whatsoever.
Right.
So this was almost like a little when that popped on, I was like, is this back to selling war bonds kind of
Yeah,
thing?
right. Mhm.
Because it's
Yeah,
like you
get
saw
out
him,
there,
and you're like, oh,
mascot.
he's not hurting anyone. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
not fighting anybody.
which is a great
But then he
device. Yeah, to get him into that frustrated mode where he's like,
Yeah.
I'm a soldier. I have like 14 medals of honor. I fought in war, and now I have to just tour the country and sit in gyms and say, "Eat your vegetables, kids." Like that's basically he was having the same strife that Steve Rogers was having to a certain extent. The only thing is that for whatever reason he couldn't quite handle the pressure of being the man and the symbol and all that kind of stuff.
Well, it's because he got
He got beat. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that was the thing is that Steve Rogers was an anomaly. So to retake that mantle and then just get worked.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, he was fighting super soldiers. He didn't know that at the time. So it was
Right.
just, but the fact of like, I'm supposed to be like, I have this huge shadow to live in. I have this huge reputation. You've basically given me the same name, meaning that you think I naturally just will fall right into that same exact example. Like it's impossible. I can't do it.
Right.
And they're like, but you kind of have to. And
Right.
Best I can, man. Best effort. And they're like, yeah, well.
Well, and then it happens too where he gets the what kicked out of him by the Wakandan ladies.
Right. It
and
keeps
then
happening.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then he's just like, they weren't even super soldiers. He's immediately disgruntled by his
Demoralized, yeah.
inability to even fight against, which, if he knew what we knew, they were kind of like they're assassins. Like they basically could have killed everybody. They just didn't. They,
Right.
chose not to, thankfully. But yeah, but his character arc was fantastic. It was incredibly well
I
written.
enjoyed it.
I really liked it, and I liked that he had some redemption because that's U.S. Agent to a T in the comics. Is he's very much a hero one moment and then an unhinged kind of bloodthirsty maniac the next. So he does swoop in and fights with the Avengers and then kind of does his own thing, a bit of a mercenary in a way that a lot of the other Avengers aren't. So that's what I like about his character, and it sounds like we're getting that now that he's going to be working with Elaine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which she was a
that was
fantastic
really
surprise.
Such an interesting
Wonderful.
choice to, because I'm not completely familiar with her character from the comics, but I just found it
It's
super
kind of
interesting.
slim pickings. There's
Yeah.
not much. As
But they,
I
like-
looked into it, and
They gave her like
Yeah.
the purple hair and stuff, and I was like, there's a point where you could follow the comics, and there's a point where you just maybe let that stuff kind of slide.
Mhm.
Because the way that she kind of walks in, it's like, did we miss her being Nick Fury's understudy? Like where the
Mhm.
way that she walks in with that swagger, it's like you should have a little too much swagger
Well, what is the
for us not
background
knowing
though
who she is.
of Val? Because I think we're going to find out. But was she in Shield at one point, or
yeah, she is like not the Fury's kind of prepping her, I think, right? And then they kind of become love interests. And then she becomes Lady Hydra. Is that the
Yes.
character?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
So now we're sitting with this again. Someone kind of in the middle. She's in the U.S. government, but what's she really wanting to accomplish? We don't know.
Mhm.
It's a little out there.
At this point in time, what is Nick Fury up to?
He's in space, dog.
He's in
with the
space?
Skrullios.
What? Hang on.
Captain Marvel. You watched that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did he go to
Post
space?
credits of Captain Marvel. You see where he is.
Wait, remind me. Refreshing my drink. What?
Okay, so is it that one or is it a different one? I think
No, it's a different because I'm trying to think of what movie it is that the
Wasp
revelation
and
is.
the
That's
Winter
what it is. Yep.
Soldier.
No, yeah, it's
The,
Wasp
the
and
second
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
Yeah, it's Wasp and Ant-Man where
Okay.
you see Nick Fury talking.
He's chilling
But
like with a
he-
drink, and you think he's in Hawaii, and then he stands up, and there's a reveal that he's on a space station.
Why?
Sword.
Yeah, and then
Okay, so he's with Sword
yeah.
now.
and then the Fury on Earth is a scroll.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So see, I
That's
didn't
in-
watch. When is Ant-Man and the Wasp in the timeline?
Post blip. No, I lied.
No,
Just
it's
kidding.
right
It's pre blip. Yeah, it's pre blip.
just before.
That's where he
'Cause
gets
that's-
stuck in the.
post. Yes, that's how he
quantum
gets
world?
stuck in the quantum realm because that's the post-credit scene of Ant-Man and Wasp.
So we're back to when the hell does that other post-credit scene happen?
So how does
You're right.
It's not Dr. Marvel.
how does Dr. Marvel? How does
Marvelous Dr.
he get
Amazing.
into space though? I don't.
So the Skrulls
Yes.
Yes.
and Captain Marvel.
Oh, Spider-Man.
Oh, Return from
Far
Yeah,
from
Far
home.
From Home.
Yeah.
That's where it is. Spider-Man Far From Home. is
Spider-Man
when the
base camp.
revelation that Fury is a Skrull. That's where it is. Woo!
And how
And you're
long
like,
has he
wow,
been?
They just undercut something. They undercut all of. That's right. So you go. It was Ben Mendelsohn the whole time.
Yeah.
The whole
Well,
time?
We don't know
Not the whole
exactly
time.
When. We don't know, but
Ugh,
it's fair to
yeah, that
assume
movie.
that fairly early on.
Are we gonna find out?
I'm they've got it covered at some point.
Okay.
I think because they announced a new Fantastic Four, which you could conjecture is going to be the introduction of the Super Skrull, which is basically a scroll that gets all 4 of the Fantastic Four's powers.
Okay.
Maybe. That's Fantastic Four is like 2026 or something like that in the Marvel roadmap. It's way back there. But that's one of the conjectures is that we're going to get Super Skrull in that.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go watch this later because I don't.
Yeah, because it's weird because the Spider-Man Far From Homes or all the Spider-Man stuff with little kid is still Sony
Mm-hmm.
with Marvel Studios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus Marvel. So like you know that they're definitely like, hey, don't do the following things. Like you can't do the following things, but you also need to plant the following things in there. It's not
How
it's
much
not
longer
like,
is that the case?
I think
For
one more.
perpetuity. Well, this current deal,
Yeah, who knows?
but I think they're both going to play with each other for the
Yeah.
foreseeable. Because why?
Well,
wouldn't-
I think Marvel.
Yeah.
If I was if I was on the Marvel Studios board of directors, I would just continue to partner with Sony and say, listen, we're just going to continue this partnership, and we'll do like a 60-40 split or whatever you want to do. But we're just going to continue this for as we need to because it shifts a bunch of the onus on Sony. But Marvel also has all this other stuff that's just printing money. So it's not like they need Spider-Man to work. And at any given moment, Sony blows it, they can just cut ties with them and be like, you've ruined the brand. It's ours again. Because that's one of like the weird things about some of these agreements is that as long as you continue to produce
I
works
don't
of
think
the
it
property, or did that
matters.
pass?
You just have to create stuff. I think that's all, though. It doesn't matter about quality, so you can make.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant. Is
Yeah.
as long as Sony keeps punching out Spider-Man, they contractually own that license and the rights to that license.
It's like
So, yeah,
every
they-
5 years you have to do something. I think.
Yeah, they
is
could
kinda
put
how
out
those
some
things
junk,
work.
but I do think at some point Marvel would be like, okay, fine, we're just gonna kill Spider-Man then in our universe, and then you're out. So, good luck.
Yeah, but right now it's a it's a money machine. So
Oh, it's just printing money.
Yeah.
These things are.
Well, yeah, and for Sony, they're
ATMs.
going. We don't have a great track record, so yeah, we'll take the split and let MCU do the work. Sure.
Right. Exactly. Like I said, I think
Borrow
it's a
our
mutual.
character
It's
and
a
make
it's a
money.
mutually beneficial agreement for them. I would have to imagine. So.
Yeah. But that new Venom movie.
yeah, I saw the
I
trailer for
haven't
that.
watched the first one.
Yeah, me
I
neither.
know what I'm doing if I watch that one. I know what I'm doing right before
Oh,
I watch
yeah.
that one.
I don't know. What?
Going for a jog, getting that,
Yeah.
those
I'm
endorphins.
gonna get my endorphins going.
Yeah, get your
My
endorphins.
serotonin.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's not bad. When you watch the Venom movie, you've just got to go in knowing that it's gonna be a little weird,
Yeah.
and it's just designed to splatter people on the ground. That's it.
Oh well, okay.
Sign me.
I mean, it's. I hate to say it, but like, it's right up your alley. it's for you.
Oh, and you got
Plenty
Carnage.
of splatters up my alley.
And old Woody Harrelson, he signed up for the Carnage movie, which, could be a money grab, but at the same time, I feel like, that adds a little bit of.
Well, he's in.
I'm
He's
okay
in the
with
first
that.
one. He plays an end credit. He has an end
is
credit
he?
scene in the first one. Yeah,
He
and
plays Cassidy Jones.
his his
Something like
his
that.
presence there makes sense. Like when you get into the Venom story and all that, his presence makes sense. So it's not like a weird little like drop in. It totally makes sense. So
I liked the Carnage character as a kid in the comics because that was another. I really liked Spider-Man when I was younger, and then I wasn't super into Venom for some reason, but the Carnage character I totally dug for some reason. I don't know why.
'Cause you were a maniac deep inside.
Maybe I was less into Venom and more into mayhem.
Right, chaos.
Yeah.
Like Carnage is chaos. Venom had that struggle of
Good and evil.
I'm good, but you're
I've got
bad.
my code, kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And Carnage was just chaos.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how they intertwine that, if they even do. I mean, because at some point in time, he's got to meet Spider-Man, right? Or nah?
Well, yes, technically yes, but it's. I don't know the answer to this, but there's also, I mean, there's the Mobius movie too with Jared Leto. I know, right? But like they have to. There's a team that exists, which is like Mobius and Venom and Lobo and like 2 or 3 others that are like, it's not the Sinister
voice
Six,
gonna be?
but it's like that team exists, like Ghost Rider. So it's like that side group that's almost like the DC equivalent, like
Nicolas
DC has a
Cage
Suicide
back.
Squad, right?
Yeah.
DC has Suicide Squad. Marvel has this group whose name I can't think of, that are like the mercs for hire.
Don't they
and if
become the Avengers in a universe where the Avengers are not around? I think, as well. Everybody becomes an Avenger at some point in time in the comics.
I was an Avenger in one of those.
Yeah. You did a great job as an
the
Avenger.
Avengers roster is like 250 deep. If
I'm
you put it all
looking.
together.
His name is
But,
Mobius, right?
Morbius.
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 Mobius, that's the artist.
Well, this says.
That's the strip.
There's too many names. Midnight Suns is one of them. Is Hellstrom, Morbius, Werewolf by Night, Doctor Strange, Ghost Riders, and then there's another one called the Mystic Nine.
That might be the one I'm thinking of.
What?
Oh yeah, but we have they haven't like you got Morbius, Venom, Lobo, who's a nutsball character.
Yeah.
Ghost Rider, and there's a couple more I think that kind of ground them into the, and of course Wolverine at some point was a member of that team.
Yeah. Well, he was also an Avenger at one point.
Yep.
I think that I was actually thinking of. I think that they made up new Fantastic Fours right around the time that I was kind of growing out of comic books, and it was like, and I think one of them was like the Hulk, Ghost Rider, Silver Surfer, and then like Wolverine or something. It was just some kind of total goofball Fantastic Four, and there was because they did like Fantastic Four. It was like Fantastic Four Pacific Northwest and Fantastic Four,
Franchise
Southwest
coast,
region. Yeah. So they were kind of like if you happen to be in the area and some crime or some intergalactic nonsense broke out.
Yeah.
Hey,
You're tapped.
Southwest
Which
region.
Fantastic Four are you? The one that murders.
Yeah.
I'm the Fantastic Four Local 255th.
Now there was a line again in.
But we're on strike right now. We're renegotiating.
That's right.
With
No
the
scabs.
Avenger Union.
They look at some mutants that just is covered in scabs. And he's like,
What's your name, son? Scabs. What do you do? Just peel scabs and eat them. So,
all right, Bob.
shing, snick it. When Sam first shows up as Captain America in the last episode, he says, they said, "Who are you?" And he says, "I'm Captain America." And then the guy says, "I thought Captain America was on the moon." What is that?
Oh, right. They dropped that theory in the first episode as well. The Sam's pal, who's
Well, right, because they
thought
don't
was going to
want
become Falcon.
they don't want to talk about the time travel.
Okay.
So when Captain America
Well,
travels
people
back,
don't know.
right? But they also like, in order to be like, well, what happened to Captain America? Because he literally went back in time and grew old.
Mm-hmm.
So
Nobody knows
I would
that.
assume that the story or like all the conspiracy theory stuff is that like, yeah, he's on the moon now.
Oh, so there was never like a line, like someone said that as a cover story or anything like that?
Not that
They
we're
just kind of plop
directly
it in
given. Yeah,
that
Okay,
It's been
people are just creating
right.
conspiracy theories that he must be on the moon.
gotcha.
He's protecting us from the moon. Well, then, well, there's actually
on the moon.
From the moon
That's
or
son
from the
because
moon?
there is the is it the Eternals or the Immortals? It's the one with Black Bolt and it was on Disney Plus. It's a short, but they are. Oh man, this is gonna get really nerdy and probably a little incorrect. So there's these crystals.
Oh no, not on this show.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
how
No.
dare you?
So there's crystals. The name of the crystal I can't think of, but they're on the
Gale?
moon and they give people well done. They give people
Ching.
specific powers, which is what in one universe that's what gave Quicksilver his power. Is these you get exposed to these crystals and the gas, and they make you super.
Crystal meth.
But it's on the moon.
Bath salts.
But there's a group of people on the moon, and it's either the Eternals or the Immortals. It's one of the two.
Oh.
That
The Immortals, because didn't they have that was that failed TV show?
that's the one I'm thinking of, right? So it's got like Black Bolt and a bunch of people, but it's like because
Frankie
that
Four
show,
Fingers. Yeah, that is a real.
Scabs,
rough
I
lineup.
think, is in
so
it.
because that exists, I think that's where people are like, oh, Captain America is with the Immortals.
Okay.
Okay.
Because the Eternals is the movie that's coming up soon with like Kamal Nanjiani and a few other people.
Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, Kit Harington.
Cat
Yeah.
Harrington,
Yeah.
and his brother from
Dog.
another.
Dog
Dog
Harrington.
Skinningson.
I'm looking forward to that though, because that'll be his character is definitely gonna be the sleepy character. Just like I mean, Game of Thrones is rough with Kit. Sometimes you're just like, are you
Well,
asleep,
wouldn't it be
bro?
great if Kit was totally different and you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
and you love him, but he's probably just gonna be mopey.
Yeah, if he was excited, happy, methy, that'd be fun. But
Manic.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of that, the new Marvel lineup is going to be interesting too, because
Mhm.
there's like the one that's coming out soon, Shang Tsung and the Ten Rings, but
Mhm.
then there's the Eternals, and then you've got
yeah,
Doctor
Wakanda forever.
Strange, Wakanda Forever, and a new Thor, like
Mhm.
Love and Ragnarok or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, the God of Thunder.
And then we're still waiting on Black Widow, and then I don't know what their big like tent pole or the anchor is, like, because the Avengers, they didn't announce an Avengers, so
Yeah.
that's where it's like
there
It's
will
real
be.
slow,
Yeah,
kinda
'cause-
real slow ramp up.
Chang-Chi, what's his name? Yeah, so he is, again, he's an Avenger, at some point in time. So I think that's what we're going to see is we're going to see the modified Avengers with Bucky and
Little-
Sam,
little
and
Splinter
it'll be
Bruce.
a thing. So when the Black Widow movie, well, no, it wasn't when it was announced. It was somewhat recently, actually, when I sort of discovered this. Forget how it happened, but I ran across something and it was like Black Widow was dead, and I was like, Black Widow died? Like, I have no memory of this. And so I went to the Wikipedia page for the Marvel character, and it was like, deceased, jumped down the well or whatever it was, and I was like, what? I don't remember any of this. So that's why I watched the last two Avengers movies again, because I just like so much happens. Because I remember Gamora dying,
yes,
but I also didn't remember how she came back, because I distinctly remember a moment where Chris Pratt gets kicked in the balls.
time travel.
But but I didn't remember how. So the last two movies really cleared up a lot of questions I had.
That's fair. That's
yeah, for
There's
the
a
movies.
whole lot that happens.
Yeah, a lot. And it is very sad. But then I was kind of thinking, Black Widow, like, didn't she have kind of like a sort of love thing with Clint, with Hawkeye, sort of kind of like thing with Hulk, sort of kind of thing with Captain America? Like, I guess she was the only girl in the group. So it's kind of like she's going to, find each one of the
Careful.
guys interesting,
Gotta
right?
date 'em all.
Yeah.
Easy.
That's not what I'm saying, but I mean, God bless her. If that's how it was. Yeah, each of those guys has something to offer. I'm sure. One of them's big and green.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Hide the zucchini.
Yeah.
In movies joke. I'm using an in movies joke.
That's true. That's a line of dialogue
Yeah.
that he uses.
Speaking of zucchini, so
Snark.
I was gonna want sometimes you got the hankering for the pasta, but I've been trying to go gluten free, and
That's why you've got the hankering.
yeah, I happened to be at Walmart, and I was like, I'm gonna get some vegetable pasta because there's that exists now, and I don't usually buy that kind of stuff at the Walmart, but I happen to be there getting shampoo for the carpets, life things. And
Dog
I
meat.
go, yeah, dog biscuits.
Got it, okay.
And I look in and I see, oh, there's zucchini pasta by Barilla, or whatever it is,
Yeah.
Barilla. And I grab it and I'm
The
like,
Nazis, one of
perfect,
them's a
yeah,
Nazi, who knows?
perfect, zucchini pasta. This is gonna be fantastic. But I was like, but just check the ingredients first. I flip it over, and the ingredients. There's two ingredients. There's enriched wheat flour and like zucchini paste. I was like, oh, so it's just spaghetti with like green food coloring. I don't know if you can call that zucchini pasta, but
Sure,
There's
yeah,
zucchini in it.
yeah, that's true. You should call it Hulk pasta.
You should get.
Yeah, have Hulk on
We're going way off
Yeah.
the rails tonight.
We'll go
There's a
back.
thing.
for the
it's-
first time ever.
Yeah, right. I think it's called zoodles. But
Yeah,
it's a way to
yeah.
take the zucchini and punch it through something, and it creates like noodles.
yeah.
It's pretty good.
Well, my
It's
sister-in-law
really
made
watery, though. You gotta be
spaghetti
careful with it.
squash pasta, basically.
another thing,
That was
yeah.
delightful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's also very wet. You gotta be careful with that.
But it makes sense because it's called spaghetti squash, so you would think that someone came up with that idea for a reason.
Yeah.
You'd think.
So Winter Soldier.
So, anyways,
Oh, right.
No.
what were we talking about?
So another thing that makes this show great, if I can for a
Nick
minute,
Fury's
is that.
in space.
So I will preface
I
this
didn't
statement
know.
with I have never read Moby Dick, but somebody has made me aware
I
that there's
have.
an entire chapter of Moby Dick that is just tying knots. It's just them talking about knot tying.
And singing. It's
And singing.
awful.
So
It's the naughtiest chapter ever written. And,
So where I'm going with this
history of
is that
literature.
there's an entire episode of Winter Soldier which is just two bros fixing a boat.
Hmm.
And the episode is still successful.
Yeah.
That's how good the show is.
Hmm.
Is that there's enough built up around these characters that they can just rebuild a boat in basically like this extended montage
And have a
it's still
crawdad.
great episode.
A crawdad boil in the
Yeah.
episode. Still interesting.
Yeah, and it's still a great episode.
Yeah.
That's why it's a good show. Is when you can take something as mundane as that and then have all the subtext and content going on and still be good. That's why it's a good show.
Hmm.
Because you didn't need, like I said, you didn't need every episode to be just a fight and an action movie, a fight and an action movie. You need life. You
It
need
doesn't work in a show. Yeah.
right. You need life
Too
and
much
drama in there to
hours.
hold this stuff together. And yeah, it was great. It was when I first saw the episode, I was like, oh. And then it marinated on me, and I was like, that was actually really good.
Hmm.
Like that was super important because there's a lot that happens in there.
Hmm.
Like that's the realization of them just reflecting on everything, but then being like, well, we could mope or move forward. And
Yeah.
then that resets the tone for the whole entire rest of the show of like, we're past that now. It's time to rebuild. It's a super metaphor. It's time to rebuild the old into something new that is now functional. Mega metaphor, super meta, but really, really good.
Yeah.
Is that before Sam does the training montage?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
It's right around the same time.
Probably,
It's like
right.
those are like
Yeah.
back to back.
Mhm.
Because
Or it's
right, because
all
I think
happening on that
I think
same
him and
episode?
Bucky are talking. That's when like they talk about
They
like
do
why
the frisbee, throwing the frisbee back and forth.
right, like why it was hard to
Oh, yeah.
take the shield, why it was hard to take up the mantle, and then Bucky's like, I've got my own stuff, and this is how I'm working through it. You know, you've always done the thing where somebody else has a problem and you fix it. Well, you're the one with the problem now, so let me help you fix it, kind of thing. And then then it rolls into
I'm gonna neuter you. Whoa.
Hey, hey,
Then we
hey.
gotta
training
fix you.
montage.
Yeah. And then it cuts to Coldplay's "Fix You." That was a great choice of song. So favorite moment, cringy moment. I think we can go here. And then I have another question for you as well. But while you guys marinate on it, I'll give you mine while you think about this first thing. I think my favorite moment is definitely when, Sam comes in as Captain America for the first time. Awesome moment. I watched it a couple times. Still still kind of gives me chills. I don't know why. I think also because as good of an actor and as successful at this point as Anthony Mackie is, he's just not he's not the same, right up front. He's not the same presence as comps on his thing, like Chadwick or Michael B. Jordan or whatever. But he's, and same thing, he's kind of a unique look, but he's as much, if not more, of a compelling actor and a good actor. And so I also am just sort of super moved by his the blow up of his career, because I know that he's a super good guy and just has worked really, really hard to get here. And so kind of seeing him fly in as Captain America and also this actor that I think you can easily root for, something about that sort of meta aspect of it just made me very happy. I think he's crushed it. And yeah, it's just because he kind of had his part in the Avengers movies was shitty. It just kind of wasn't great. He was just
very ancillary.
Yeah, very, very, very. He was just kind of always a little bit there, had a quippy line here and there, and eventually just wasn't that great. So it's cool to see him kind of culminate into that thing that the whole series was driving towards. But then cringy moment, of course, the first scene, the kid, the guy who's kind of his army liaison, he has some terrible lines in that are super cringe-tastic. At one point, we're 6 or 7 minutes into this chase scene where Falcon's flying through trying to get the lieutenant or the captain or whoever he's trying to rescue. And at one point, Falcon does something. He swoops around and the kid's on the binoculars goes, "Oh, he's outnumbered." And I was like, "What? He's been outnumbered for the last 14 minutes. What is this?" I don't know why shows still need to put lines to explain things to the audience. You don't need to explain to me the urgency.
It's because the other soldiers in the Humvee need to know. Nobody, we're there.
Yeah.
Exactly. We don't need him to relay it to other characters that we're never going to see again.
Yeah. Don't tell me, show me. But then a show is doing so good at it. Yeah, exactly. They're killing it on the showing me, and then they throw in a dumb line to this poor kid who's got to say it now. It's just the worst.
Now, if he was "Oh, it's really cool, but God, those wings and goggles are so stupid." If he would say those things,
right.
I would have loved that character.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he becomes Falcon in the future, and then he has to wear the goggles, and he's like,
"Yeah, darn it." Yeah, they did do a good job making Falcon's costume look a little bit cooler.
I mean, they did the best they possibly could.
Yeah, yeah.
I still wish they would have just given him an Iron Man suit that has a Falcon, Captain America scheme on it.
Yeah.
And it's just because the flying is great, right? But then that way he's a super soldier.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, we saw Rhodey in the first episode. So you see Rhodey for a hot second. So it would have made sense between Stark technology and Wakandan steel that not only did he get wings made by the Wakandans, but they gave him a vibranium suit, a vibranium Iron Man suit. So, but yeah, maybe that's a place for the show to go.
Yeah, they're saving it for the Iron Wars. That's over here, and I get it. And they got their little shelving units, and they're like, this is this cube, and this is what fits in here, and then over here we're gonna have that crap. I get it.
Get it? Yeah.
Man, I just miss a young, reckless Tony Stark. Oh, we need one of those.
I know.
In this MCU really badly.
Yeah, maybe we'll get one. First, you just gotta pull him out of your butt.
Well, in a while.
Yeah,
he's still
marinating.
It's not done yet.
His arms are out. He's gonna be there for a minute.
In my easy bake butthole.
He T-posed accidentally. You want to go, Eric?
Brownies over here.
All right. Favorite cringy.
I don't know if I want to say. I guess not that's cringy for me, but when what's her name, Carly Morgenthau, what's
Yeah, Morgenthau.
character Morgenthau, the flag masher, when she got shot and killed,
Yeah.
I didn't care at all. At all.
Yeah.
I was like, get out of here, you're boring.
What didn't you? Why
Kind of
didn't
in
you
a
care?
way, there's something. Okay, so I'm gonna be like the weenie in this triad. I liked a lot of the series, but I feel like by the time I got to the last episode, I was like, I think I'm right back to where I felt about all these characters, or the main characters, as I was heading into it. I kind of don't care about the main characters any more than I used to.
Mm-hmm.
But I want more Zemo, and I want more Walker, and I want Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
Jubies.
And, all that kind of anti-hero heroes
Yeah.
doing their thing. So that I like. But yeah, I think the Flag Smashers plot, maybe overall, I was like, it was a lot of extra. It's like it's like, I don't know if it's trying to be an answer to Trump and refugees and the border
A little bit,
crisis.
yeah.
It's trying to do that, which is fine. But when you're also doing the Captain America is black now, and how do we deal with that? It's kind of a lot of stuff that we're dealing with. That all is kind of Bummerville.
Yeah. You're right though about the not caring too much about, and I think the reason why is because we had like a decade of wholesome characters, and so it's almost like at this point in time, it's like,
Burned out on it.
yeah, it's more interesting to have a John Walker who's good-ish, and a Julie Louis-Dreyfus is good-ish, and a Zemo that's like, maybe, like that's kind of a little more interesting to us. Which is why it was great to have the Wakandans show up, because they were like very off the normal beaten path of the heroes to a certain extent. Yeah.
Well, and two, I think it's just, and I keep harping on it, and I don't want to be like jerky about it, but it's just like Sam and Winter Soldier, and even Sharon, they're not like loose cannon-y, or there's not something. I feel like most every other like Avenger hero is kind of dynamic enough as they're written, and so the actors can indulge and have fun. I think these actors could have a lot more fun, but it's like these characters are very contained, and they can't do much with them. Where it's like, if I was doing this and I had Winter Soldier, I would have him. Oops! I went into murder mode accidentally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they gotta like mop up after him because he keeps murdering people, because he's like, sorry, that's kind of what I did for a long time. I'm really trying. Okay, next, I'm not going to do it again.
That one's on me, guys. Mulligan. Sorry.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I'm going to get this arm under control. And then he just immediately puts it through a head. Like, sorry.
Yeah. Well, I think the characters have places to go. Because, you could have said that about, definitely could have said that about Thor, for the first like 5 movies, and now he's a totally different character.
I would kind of like a little bit of that kind of like rebranding of, I think him, when you're Captain America, you kind of have to be the boring rock, right?
Yeah.
And so with him, it's like Superman. You're this good, wholesome thing, and then you got to figure out how do you make that character interesting with what's coming at that character. And this one's a heavy topic. This season was very heavy. It's about race, and it's this thing we're dealing with. And a lot of white people in this country are going, I'm tired of hearing about this. And so it's like, we got to do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
But there's not like the woo. It's like, okay, let's do the work. And then the refugee thing is a whole other thing where you're like, this is another bummer thing that correlates to our world, and let's do it. It's important. So this was like the important show. But like Zemo, little moments. Those are the characters that you get to have some like comic book fun and go, okay, here's an interesting character that's kind of doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And so I guess my cringe and best moments are more broken into that dichotomy.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cop out. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
That's great. Because Zemo's, I love it when he just pulls the sock over his face for 1 second and shoots a bunch of guys, and then it's done. Like, oh, I could use more actual Zemo, I think.
And two, even when he does stuff, he's that guy that's going, super soldiers are bad, and he kind of go, yeah, I get you, and he destroys that serum when the second he has the chance. You go, okay, you're doing your cause.
Yeah.
You're sticking to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, on brand.
Yeah. How about you, Nico?
So I have a favorite moment, I have an honorable mention, and then a cringe. So my cringe stuff is, there's not a lot. Like, it's just little things, because I think as a whole, the Flag Smasher movement, it just wasn't like it should have been stronger. It should have been more like world threatening. But I think the reason it wasn't is because it immediately would have fallen into this situation of like, well, if it's that important, when does another superhero show up? So I think they toned it down just a bit, so it didn't fall into that radar of like, we need to round up, this is a real thing. We like, where's Stephen Strange? Like, where, like, where, when are we gonna get the cameos? So I think that was, I understand why it was toned down, because you need to avoid that threshold, right? Of when do we call,
because their world is too big, like,
right, exactly.
Right. And we've gone through Endgame.
Yeah.
And they didn't necessarily pitch something else that might be going on, which is why attention was diverted. So it's like, here's just this little thing that you two can handle, because there's this other thing that's like, so that's where like it's not like super cringy, but it's enough to be like, that does pose this weird, like, all right, like, yeah, okay.
Well, to be honest with you, I didn't even know what the Flag Smashers did or were doing until you guys just explained it to me.
Right.
Because I didn't care.
Right, and that's what I'm getting at.
And
like, that's why it was cringy, because you're like, they've got tech, and they've got organization, and they've got symbols, and they've got underground networks. Like, so it's this big thing that was just enough under the radar not to call in more guns.
And they were like, they were all really good actors. They were all phenomenal at like playing their parts, and I loved that they went for like massive diversity. It was really great, greatly cast and all that kind of stuff. But it was a bunch of like 30 somethings or, mid 20 somethings. So it wasn't threatening to me in that respect. Like, they were all super soldiers, but they were kids kind of in a way.
You had a feeling that they had no clue what they were doing. So they didn't.
Right.
Especially Kylie.
Curly Red.
Carly.
Curly Red.
Carly.
Anyway, so that's my cringe, is because that wasn't like, it was like, well, it's a thing they had to do. So my honorable mention before my favorite, my honorable mention is Zemo dancing.
Oh yeah.
The little dance sequence.
Just a little,
awesome.
little
Just
jig.
that. Yeah, that's
the
fantastic.
things that blew up the internet in this show.
Yeah.
My favorite part was all of the Falcon stuff, in that he wasn't perfect. And it's just like how Spider-Man wasn't a perfect web swinger at the beginning. Like, Sam got hit with, he got shot, he got smacked around. He did some really amazing things. He used Little Red, all that kind of stuff. So all the mechanics of the Falcon, I thought that was my favorite part, because it was someone really sat back and said like, all right, we could choreograph a fight, but if you could fly, how would that really go? Like, what types of things would you actually do? And they felt a little bit more authentic than just like kind of like the Fast and the Furious stuff, where like, all right, listen, what we're gonna do is we're gonna abandon physics, and we're gonna have a helicopter pulling 5 tow trucks, and you're gonna hit the nitro, and it's gonna pull the helicopter down. Like, no, man, that's not how any of that works. This all felt more authentic. Like, they actually ran it by some people with some math and said like, hey man, if he did this, would his head explode because of the G-force? Yeah, all right, so don't do that. But like, when he gets the new suit, and they show some of the expansion use where he locks the wings in as a platform when he's getting like smashed to like stabilize himself. Like, some of that kind of really smart stuff that was my favorite part. Was it was
Yeah.
really, really
Yeah.
smart, practical application and use of this amazing tool set that he has, and you know the fact that it's not impervious. You know, it literally gets torn off of his body and destroyed. I think that's great. Like I like that people aren't invincible, that there's something to deal with.
Well, yeah,
But they're not invincible.
That's
Mhm.
that's the challenge of superheroes. Yeah, is to go,
Yeah.
how are they super, but still
Not perfect, right?
Yeah.
And that was my
still have a
favorite part.
challenge they have to overcome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I liked. That was my favorite stuff. Yeah, but honorable mention to the dance. That's
Nice. Yeah. So my next question. Oh, sorry.
Great. Yes.
It's good.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
I'm just
No, you go.
remembering the three-way fight that mimics
Three-way.
Civil War.
Right.
Walker fighting Falcon.
Cap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about yeah.
and Bucky, and it mimics
The fight at the end of Civil War.
the other
Well, there was also a
other
callback
characters.
that was from Winter Soldier, from Captain America Winter Soldier, where Captain America fights the MMA fighter on the boat.
GSP.
Yeah,
That's
GSP.
the guy that's in this.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
it's still him.
Yeah,
That's a good callback.
Same
GSP,
character, yeah, but he has that
Or
moment where he's
CPA.
like, I thought you were more than just a shield. And so Captain America fights him, and then they have this moment in, I think, episode 6 where the Falcon as Captain America is now fighting the same character. It's cool, yeah. Nice little chunks. God, you got to remember a lot if you want to be a writer on this show. You have to remember a lot if you want to watch these dang shows.
I would imagine when they get tasked with like, okay, we're doing this thing. I'm sure like the writer that comes in is like a phone book. They just slam down on the desk, be like, here you go. This
Yeah.
is the lexicon. Don't screw it up.
You got to love it. Yeah. But my question was going to
You
be
start typing in this computer, the computer will go and pull up why you can't do that
Right.
thing.
Sam would never say that. Try again.
It's
Did-
like Clippy, but for the Marvel.
Yeah.
universe. It looks like you're trying to make Captain America do this.
It's Grammarly for
Super
for Marvel. Yeah.
Marvelly.
But for your
question.
money, what did you enjoy more, WandaVision or Falcon and Winter Soldier?
WandaVision,
Yeah. How come?
because it was different.
Yeah.
I think this show I kind of knew what it was going to be, and WandaVision was like this thing that you're just not going to ever see again.
Yeah.
In Marvel, where you're
Yeah.
going to see more of this type of thing, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I
I
thought
like wacky.
I liked that the WandaVision, I think I said it in one of our earlier talks, was that it felt very much like Lost,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, all right, there's a lot of brain power in the back of this. Just pour it over me. I want it. Like, just be smart around me and just let me not know what's going on the whole time. And
Just
you
rub your
tell
Grendel up.
you tell
Just
me, yeah, you tell
fist me with
when
your
you want me
knowledge.
to know something. Yeah, I think Falcon and Winter Soldier could have taken a place anywhere in a point in time. I mean, obviously certain things, but it could have fallen in at any given moment during this universe. But I think WandaVision had to happen when it did,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
because it's a major plot thing in it. But like, I think if you would have, like, in between the first Avengers movie, actually after Civil War and before Black Panther kind of thing, you could have dropped Falcon and Winter Soldier in there and made it work. You could not have done this with WandaVision. You couldn't have dropped this in right after Ant-Man and been like, oh, this makes sense. Like,
Mhm.
because it wouldn't. And it was weird enough that the audience needed to be prepared for unknown. Like, they needed to know that going in, you're not going to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think early on people would have been like, well, I'm out. I'm moving on, something else.
Yeah.
But there's enough leverage now that something like WandaVision could exist and be successful.
Right. And that was kind of the sword that it lives on or dies on. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But if you like the gimmick of the first 3 episodes and you like the TV genre re-examining through this filter, then you'll enjoy it immensely. If you're a person that's going, get to the real story,
Mhm.
That's true. Yeah.
then you're going, this is all filler. Like, I
Yeah.
have friends that we were split over here, and
But that's kind of me. That was totally me with WandaVision. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was an amazing choice to do what they did and to go with it the way that they went with it. I think it was super cool, and I'm glad that that was the first Marvel live action. But yeah, after 3 episodes, I was just like, even though I was sticking with it, still every episode I was just like, when are we going to get to the point?
Right.
Oh, and then they like turned everybody.
Want to live in this other world.
No,
That's fair.
And then they turned everybody into a circus, and I was just like, what is happening? I don't like it. And then it culminated in it just being like a witch was the bad guy, and I was just like, what? A witch?
I've been watching all this for a witch.
Yeah, a witch with runes? What? Come on. I mean,
Goddamn rune witch. I'm tricked again. Another rune witch show.
foiled again. So yeah, but that said, once it did get to the point, and once we did see what was actually going on, it was unbelievably moving. That last episode with her world disappearing and her having to say goodbye to the kids and ultimately to Vision was just gut-wrenching. So it was really wonderful and really, really good. But yeah, you had to commit to it though, which I don't.
Oh, for sure.
I don't want to do in a show, but I'm willing to do it for Marvel because they're so good and they always pay off. They're just pay off all the time. But not typically. I'm not gonna sit there and go, okay, I'm gonna watch an episode of I Love Lucy and Malcolm in the Middle, and yeah,
right there
no
is
thanks.
what I'm talking about is that if you would have dropped WandaVision 6 Marvel movies ago, you would have been, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
You could easily have dropped Falcon and Winter Soldier 6 movies ago, and you're still in. That's why I think it's it takes a specific audience. Yeah.
Definitely. But I think it also says something about how good the property is at this point in terms of its direction and its like stewardship and shepherding and the writing and everything.
Right.
They're so good that they can make a show that even makes a person like me go, I don't want to watch this, but I will watch it because I know it's going to be good enough. Like it's going to pay off. Like that's pretty impressive to be able to make, because we know Loki is going to be bonkersville.
Oh my God. Like,
so
the
it's
worst
just
part is that
all
the
this different stuff.
expectations
Yeah.
are just like stair stepping.
But already, I mean, the WandaVision had its own weird bonkers, and then we've got Falcon Winter Soldier just a little bit more up the middle, and then Loki's going to be its own brand. So everything's going to have its own sort of feel and theme.
Yeah, it's them essentially trying to, well, truly be their own studio, in that they can have 10 different genres running, but it's all within this world. Yeah.
Yeah, because it all comes back around to something meaningful, I think, is what they end up doing.
Yeah, and I think like a Taika Waititi when he came in, and I think what he can do is have the weirdo, nuancy, humor, bizarro, everyday type of stuff, mundaneness that's funny brought into a epic world. But then still, at the end of the day, deliver on you caring about the characters and going, oh, there's weight and gravity. So, I think when that entered in, then you go, oh, okay, we can have fun, but it can still mean something at the end of that day.
Right.
So,
Yeah, for sure.
Oh. Well, good job, Marvel. We're looking forward to Loki.
Way to go, stupids.
Nice work, you dum-dums.
Managed not to blow it.
Yeah. Looking to see if we have any comments before we get... Oh,
just
no,
me.
Okay. Yeah, just you. Nice. Well, thank you for
Get that
listening to
algorithm running.
this episode of the Smoking Hot Nerds podcast on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We're going to switch over to Nerds After Dark. We're going to catch up on the events of the week. We're going to talk about some things we've been watching. It's going to be exciting. So we'll see you next week for the Smoking Hot Nerds podcast. And now welcome to... Wait, switch over. Nerds After Dark. Oh, man, my new background didn't work. Hang on. No. There it is.
Technical difficulties after dark.
Oh, I only did a 4-person one. Okay, hang on. I'm going to fix it.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to see it.
Well, no, it's not really any different. It's just the pink is a little harsh. because so the reason is it's
Whoa.
totally self-serving. Is I have to look
Some
at
pink is a little hard.
yeah, I have to look at this at the actual overlay because I have to use my other monitor with us on it for it to work, and the pink just starts to it starts to hurt the eye holes just a little bit. So I'm gonna switch it over. I'm gonna turn it into it's gonna be black pretty soon.
You could probably tone it back just a skosh.
Oh yeah, it's loud, but just experimenting, trying new things. It's like spring break for me.
Down in Cabo.
Down in Cabo.
So, nope, that's it. Okay, no, oh man, there's something that happened. I don't want to comment on the world.
Okay, what's happening in the world? Weird
Well,
stuff.
I mean, no, it's like this isn't a political or a global ethics show, but like I was thinking about. So
Isn't
let me
it?
let me try to turn this into something that is just a perspective, right? So today, I went to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah,
for
you
lunch,
did.
And Chick-fil-A has a branded thing where anytime you say thank you or whatever, instead of saying you're welcome, they say my pleasure. Which the first time you hear it, you're like, wow, you're just giving me chicken.
They're supposed to say that.
They're supposed to say my pleasure, not you're welcome. It's just they're supposed to say my pleasure.
And then do they have to go bok bok?
Eat
So I go
more
there
chicken.
and I order my food and I say thank you and they say yeah, no problem. All right.
Oh.
And I go and I pay for it and they're like,
Ooh, that
okay,
would
so
be
here's
me.
your receipt and I said thank you, and they're like cool. And then I get my food and I said thank you and she's like okay bye. Like
Okay,
Come on,
screw
man.
off.
Did this disappoint you?
it just disappointed me because it's like it's one of those things where it's like it took 4 months for this Chick-fil-A just to like drop its standards to be like, yeah, screw it. Like I got 90 cars backed up. I'm taking my badge off. I'm just gonna say, here's your food, get out. But it was just funny because it was just an interesting commentary. And then somebody was like, that was like the whitest complaint ever.
Yeah,
Like,
that was
no,
very.
I know.
That's very old man white privilege of you to even have an opinion.
Yeah, no, for
How
sure.
Yeah.
privileged of you.
And then something crossed my feed today, and without
Okay,
going
Karen.
too much into this, is if you're ever thinking that like, oh man, your day is rough, just Google the term Iron Dome and realize how fortunate you are in where you are. And so in short, the Iron Dome is a missile defense system in Israel that fires over 400 rockets a day to counter the rockets being fired on them.
It's a lot of
It
rockets.
is-
To take
is
them
a-
out or just to
Yeah,
shoot their own rockets?
No, to take them down. Like, so it's basically a land-based AWAC system that
Yeah.
bad rockets are coming in, good rockets go to take it out, and it's called the Iron Dome. There's video, and there's something happening over there right now. There's video that is just like appalling of just like we are so fortunate.
Yeah, I was gonna say
this is not
people are
even a
getting
thing.
missile control blasted on their heads right now, and you're wanting people to say "my pleasure" when you buy a chicken sandwich. Get out of here.
I know,
Yeah,
right? That's what
yeah.
I'm saying. Like there are moments in which you need perspective.
Definitely.
And but it made me think about this thing that's happening on the East Coast right now with the pipeline that was under a cyber attack. So now there's this
We've been
huge
cybered.
there's this huge like draw on gasoline on the East Coast because of the pipeline.
Oh, weird.
And they're showing people doing
I'm putting it
just-
in plastic bags.
right. That's the thing. The people are doing the most.
I get my
asinine
Stop and
things.
Shop bags.
He's selling it
I double bag it when I can.
when you can.
I can't always.
Plastic is not cheap.
I'm gonna have a lot of gasoline leak into my trunk.
Yeah,
Just sitting
'cause
there.
It's a solvent. Yeah, but it's that kind of thing where it's like, oh my, like there's one little attack and also there's a
Yeah.
rush on every gas pump on the East
Yeah.
Coast, and it's like, okay.
Well, it's funny. I have a very significant interest in cryptocurrency, in the sense of much of my net financial worth is tied up in cryptocurrency, and everything's great. It's all well and good. But last night, so Elon Musk has been a big player in the crypto space in the sense that he's really into Dogecoin and he was allowing payments.
Really into it. Like
Really into it.
Yeah, he's severely
But
into Dogecoin.
letting people having people pay in Bitcoin to buy Teslas if they want to.
I saw this
Last
article.
night
Yeah.
he tweets that they're no longer accepting Bitcoin payment because he's talking about because he believes that Bitcoin mining is causing significant harm to the environment because of all the electricity that's being used to do it. So Bitcoin was creeping up on $60,000 again. So it was right around 58,000 per Bitcoin. And it dropped to 46,000 per Bitcoin just based on one person's tweet. And it wasn't even a tweet. It was like a picture of a few paragraphs from Microsoft Word that were sent out that they were no longer blah, 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 blah. So everyone's losing their goddamn minds over this. And it was sort of like that moment too, where it was like, we're all so fortunate to have the financial ability to invest in these alternate currencies and these other things that are going to be the future, and we're all going to be just fine. But everyone's complaining about the fact that my coin that I have invested in that was 250 is now 246 a coin. It's like that kind of thing where everyone's just like losing. Losing their minds over it, where it's going to be fine. But also, what is fascinating is how misinformation can go out there so easily. Is that Bitcoin mining is not bad for the environment any more or less? No. Why do you cringe like that? Because what do you think Amazon does? What do you think every other place that runs servers is doing? It's all the same, man. Amazon consumes 2% of the United States' complete amount of energy consumption. Just Amazon alone. So Bitcoin is not 70% of Bitcoin mining is being done with renewable energy sources.
That's not 100% of where the argument comes from, though. The other part of the argument is the manufacture of GPUs, which are very elementally heavy.
Right.
It's a natural resource thing. That's the sub part of
mining.
So is fucking coal, man.
No, right. You're
That's
not
what I'm
wrong.
saying, though. It's
But what he's saying is
Bitcoin has nothing to do with the environment at all.
I disagree.
At all.
I disagree.
Do you have a GPU in your computer? Do you have a GPU in your computer? Yes, everyone.
No, but the thing is, though, it's like
in there running.
it's the sudden uptake and draw on a rare mineral and resource that is being driven by a certain specific need. Like, if you want to be smart about what's about to happen, invest in gold and silver and invest in rare minerals, because all of these things are required to make electronics smaller and smaller and smaller.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the cost of gold is through the roof, because electronics. You can't necessarily do it, but there are companies that lithium mine. Lithium is somebody once told me, like, the next greatest thing to invest in is the person who figures out how to create a battery that doesn't require lithium.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's literally a thing on the periodic table that as you move up the periodic table, lithium is at the top. And the reason is because I don't know 100% what's going on. The way that lithium works and lithium batteries work, it's basically, as in the current understanding and technology, it's at the top. There is nothing higher on the periodic table than lithium in that place. So somebody's going to have to literally reinvent the technology.
It's Iron Man 2. It's Tony
The
Stark
arc reactor.
I've got lithium, but it's killing me. I need, or he had palladium, or I can't remember.
Something like that. Yeah.
But the whole
Need to
thing
create Ditherium, whatever the hell he made.
is the whole point, moral of the story is, well, so essentially, like, what are we going to do with all the spent batteries in electric cars? We don't know.
No,
so
and
that's great. So that's dumping.
Disaster.
Yeah, that's going to be a total disaster. NIO is a company in China that's making electric cars. They can't produce enough because there aren't enough batteries right now. So places are doing that where they're trying to come up with ways to do this. But renewable energy is really kind of just spin at this point in time, because we
It's a
don't really
different
know.
thing.
Because you can't
Yeah,
renew
right.
that battery.
More than saying, well, it's not coal, and we all think coal's bad. So
Right.
we have this other thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what is it? Well, don't look into it too deeply.
But at the end of the day, the truth is what happened was just true market manipulation on the part of Elon Musk
100%.
himself. And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what is disappointing and upsetting and infuriating, is that one single person tweets one single thing and he manipulated the market to his own like plan. Essentially, it was sort
Well, no,
of
but
Baron
this is
Zemo
why-
in and of itself.
This
because
is why
Zemo.
yeah, he been
when-
Z
when we
mode
had-
exactly.
When we had the discussion about crypto a couple weeks ago or a month or so ago, this is why I said it's such a volatile and nasty little thing, because of this, because it exists on nothing. There is no tangible good for cryptocurrency. It's just the concept of cryptocurrency itself. That
Well,
to
no,
the fact
it's
that, yes,
stock. You have to think
right,
of it
but
as
somebody,
stock.
But somebody can say something to the effect of like, well, I don't know if we're not going to support Bitcoin, and it tanks. It's because it's a pure
If a
social
major
evaluation.
player in
Right.
the idea of what this thing is, right?
So-
yeah. So yeah, he plays a giant role in it, and people.
Well, no,
go,
and
"Oh,
that-
yeah,
and
we're
that's the
on
thing, it's
board
like-
because Elon Musk is on board.
Yeah.
and then he
And it's
pulls
like
the rug
it's
out from underneath it.
the thing that kills me about like the GameStop and the AMC, and I said this too, is like you get three guys in a room with enough social media presence, and you can create the AMC and GameStop stock boom. And the reason that it's because they're like, they sit in a room, they do the math, they do a bunch of stuff. So like, wait, this stuff is literally a penny stock. Think about Dogecoin, right? Dogecoin started out as like a 1/10 of a cent per unit or whatever. It's now creeping up on 55 cents. or
It's at
something
50
like that,
cents ish,
which
yeah.
is an astronomical increase.
Mhm.
But if you think about Elon Musk, buys $1 billion worth of Dogecoin at 1/10 of a cent, and it's now 50 cents.
Mhm.
That's almost $5 trillion. But it's not, because he would have to sell it.
Mhm.
And nobody has $5 trillion to buy all of his. So it's like, that's why it's this weird volatile system of like,
Mhm.
I'm a cajillionaire. Okay, try to sell it. Well, please,
Yeah.
please
Well,
buy
but-
This is
Dogecoin.
why
No.
gotta be some Martians.
Right.
Hopefully they have a gazillion dollars.
No more or less than the stock market. It's all this. But the thing is that what's happening is people are starting to realize that this is how the financial system has been operating for the last 100 years. And so people are like, so everyone was freaking out about the whole GameStop thing when it was happening, to the point where exchanges were shutting it down. We're not allowing people to trade it, this and that, because
They couldn't cover the loss.
hundreds of thousands of people got together and decided, hey, we're going to manipulate the market just like these whales do. Well, yesterday we had one person manipulate the market for himself, and nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. I mean, something might happen to him, and I hope it does, honestly, because the other side of this issue is that the Biden administration also just put out an incentive for companies to go environmentally friendly, and they can get this massive, like trillions of dollars incentive that's being spread out amongst these companies if they are, evaluated to be environmentally friendly. Well, being a supporter of Bitcoin that is seen as by some as not environmentally friendly clearly scared him. And so that's why he put out this rush tweet. And by the way, when you flash crash something that you've invested billions of dollars into from $58,000 down to $46,000, what the fuck do you think he was doing when it hit 46,000? Buying more. So
No, absolutely.
that's the thing.
100%.
Is like literally it was manipulated by one. Well, I mean, he might have had other people involved, but it's just like fascinating that nothing's happening yet. That nothing's happening to him.
But I think, and to Nico's point weeks ago, is like when cryptocurrency isn't, there's no goods, there's no like anything basic. It's like other stocks, they're companies.
Yeah, you
and they're
can't
creating goods.
liquidate a cryptocurrency if it fails.
Well, yeah,
because
no, you can't. And
No,
the,
I meant
the,
like no,
the
so
reason
think about
it's
GameStop,
not
right?
attached to anything.
Right. If GameStop all of a sudden crashes and the market people could be like, no, I have 500,000 shares, even if it's set, I need you to liquidate the shelving units in your GameStop outlets,
Right.
and I'm going to get my 1 cent per share.
Right.
But you're going to have to liquidate something to pay me back.
Well, there is because I mean, I like everything that I have invested in like has a purpose. Like one is called VeChain, and it's a like you know what SAP is, right? Like they're basically like a logistics company. They help companies handle inventory and that's what they do, except on blockchain. So they have office spaces and of course GPUs and all that kind of stuff. So all of these companies do that. That's the thing. But the ones that are actual currencies, like Bitcoin, Ethereum to a certain extent, Dogecoin, correct. There is nothing to liquidate. You're just investing. I only invest in Bitcoin because I want to make more money. Like that's just sheer bottom line. The other ones are more like buying stock in a company, in a business, because blockchain will be a significant part of our world, in the not so distant future. Not as much as I think people think it will be in terms of like NFTs and all that kind of stuff. It's just like
there's gonna be a point where it caps out,
a lot.
and everyone gets out.
Mm-hmm.
But they're gonna get to the point where like, well, I want out. It's like, okay, well, it's $50 a share. I'm not gonna pay you $50 a share for this. I'll give you 35, and then that will trigger the market to dip. Because once that 35 goes in on 50, then the evaluation will start to go down.
Well, it already has, and that's the problem. What I was going to say too.
But that's what I'm getting at.
If I had
because
invested,
it's so volatile.
I decided on a number, and I said I'm going to invest this number, and diversification is a good thing, so that's what I did. I diversified it and chunked it out by percentage and how much I wanted to invest. If I had just put all of it into Dogecoin the day that I transferred that money in. If I put it all in Dogecoin on that day, when it hit its all-time high of 60 cents, I would have had $2.5 million.
No, you would have had an evaluation
right.
of 2.5.
Well, no,
but try to sell that.
Well, I could sell
That's
it.
A difference.
I could sell it
To who?
on the exchange. Because the exchange holds all the coins.
Thousands of people.
Yeah. Let me educate you for a second. So the exchange actually holds all the coins. So when I buy them, I now own them 1-to-1. So a USDC, so it'd be like the United States dollar coin. And then I could then turn that into cash. So the money exists on those exchanges.
If you can sell it though.
Yeah,
they don't have to take your sale offer.
No, I guess technically no, but that's not.
That's what I'm getting at. Is that that's where the volatility.
But they don't have to in the stock market either.
Right again, but that's where I say the negotiation comes in. It's like you may have evaluated at 2.5 million, but if you were to try to offload at 2.5, they might have been like, nope.
Yeah.
Like we'll give you 1.1, which again is nothing.
No,
to scoff
they wouldn't do that. Like that's not how it works. There's
they
percentages.
That's what I'm getting at.
If you're trying to dump though, and it's still moving up though, it'd probably be easy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. And also the exchanges have percentages. Some are percentages, some are whatever. When you buy it, that you pay the exchange to purchase the coin or whatever it is, and same to sell it. So if it was worth 0.6, 60 cents, if I sell it back, they would call it 58 cents, and that 2 cents per Dogecoin would go to them.
Transactional.
Yeah, as a transaction fee. So that's how they balance that out. They're still, 0.02 of $2 million is a lot of money. So,
but what I'm getting at though is that the
exactly.
sale is not guaranteed.
I mean, I don't know.
Just like regular stocks, sales are not guaranteed.
If it is or isn't, but there.
But you're just releasing it onto the entire market, right? It's not like it's a 1-to-1. You're looking for some one person to buy all that.
Oh no! I mean, I'm selling it to the exchange. Yeah, to the exchange itself.
Right. The exchange might look at it and say like, this is on the rise. If this guy wants out, we're getting in at this value. We'll give you the whatever. So in high likelihood, yes, you could have dumped the entire 2.5 million. But what I'm getting at though is that's not. You can't think of that as a guaranteed 2.5. It's not. This also applies to the standard stock market. If you have something that doubles and splits, a company gets purchased, they split the stock and double it, it is not money that you can just be like, I am guaranteed this cash, because they could refuse the sale. They could say, well, we can't buy your lump stock in the evaluation, but we can give it to you for 75% of the evaluation. There is no laws protecting the sale, just as there's no laws protecting the buyer. Like, you may have that evaluation, but it's not one-to-one in that sense. They do not have to accept your sale offer. You could be like, I want to sell all of this for 2.5, and they could be like, I don't know who you're talking to, because we're not buying 2.5. You know what I mean? Like, they don't. It's not an.
I don't think that that's correct. Because it's not. No.
If enough people want to buy it now,
because that's what
everybody
flash
does
crashes
that,
are.
then it'll crash.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what
Only,
happens.
If it's only theoretically you're the only one, it's still on the up.
Mm-hmm.
You're the only one that wants to sell.
Right, it's a high. Right, I'm not saying.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's not a thing that couldn't happen. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying that
the odds are a little more against you.
Yes, if the market's going up and you want to dump, 99% of the time you're fine. Like, that'll happen, is whatever. But if, like what he did when he dropped it and caused it to drop $10,000 a coin, certain buyers might have been like, well, I know that it's 46,000. We'll buy it at 42 because it's on a downward trend. We're not gonna buy it from you and then lose and then devalue it for us. That's what I'm getting. Like, there's no protection or guarantee on.
No,
the
but what
price
happens
at the
though?
time of
Like, I
sale.
think you're missing my point of it being on the exchange. The exchange owns the coins. So if I have 10 Bitcoin,
Yeah.
and they're worth $56,000, and then you buy them from me at 56,
Yeah.
and then it goes up to 58, you've got a lot of money. And then it flash crashes down to 46. You sold it, then you sell it back to me because you're on my exchange.
At
I'm the only person who buys it. I buy it back at 46. Guess who just made a buttload of money? I did, because I'm buying
Right.
it back
You've
at 46 that I sold to you at 56.
You sold it here and you bought it here. Yeah.
Yeah. And then same thing. So a lot of these exchanges use leverage trading, and people put in like long positions. And so what happens on a day like yesterday is that, like, on my exchange, if you put on a long position and saying that I'm going to go on a long, Bitcoin's going to hit 65 by the end of the week, but you can liquidate me at any point in time if it doesn't get there. When it flash crashes at 46, I take all of your money. And so these exchanges are worth trillions of dollars.
Oh, absolutely.
And so they would have no issue with being, because the thing is, it's like, it's kind of like gambling, you know, like there's nobody out there who made $1 million of Dogecoin and then just pulled the $1 million and they're living off the $1 million. They're putting it back into the next meme coin, Shiba Inu or whatever so they think that's the next one that they're going to make money on.
Right.
So that's the thing.
And that's why it works. I'm just saying that we are educated. We did the research, yada, 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 right? That's not every single person involved in the market. So this is just a cautionary tale for everyone who's like, I'm just going to casually get into this. My word of caution is like, you cannot casually get involved in this because you will get burned on it.
Well, if you start casually, start with the big guns, you know. I mean, the thing is, like, I wish that I had more money to put in right now because this is a great time to buy in because everything's so cheap. You know, it's like, it's a great time to buy. These crashes are not a bad thing in that respect.
That's less than $1. Like, yeah, somebody put a great article on there. About
Bitcoin's
the other
great
day
to
of,
buy
like,
into as well right now.
Somebody bought in, like, you have all these people that bought into Dogecoin at 5 cents a share, 5 cents a coin, and it went up to 40 cents a coin, and they're like, yes. And then it dropped down to 25 cents, and they're like, no. It's like, you cannot think of it like that. You're still
huge.
20 cents on top of your 5 cents. You can't.
That's the
look at it
thing.
that way.
All the Ethereum that I own, I bought at under $2,000. And then over the last 2 weeks, it's just went on an absolute tear, and it's hovering right around $4,000. But then when it crashed down to 3,600, and everyone's freaking out. And it was just like, if you bought under 2,000 like I did, you're still
good.
pretty good to go, you know. And you know, the only thing that is, you know, down for me is Bitcoin, because of the fact that my like dollar cost average is 58, because I was buying like at a pretty heavy time in the market. So being at 48 or 49, whatever it's at now, yeah, I mean, I'm down, but I'm not. But this is something that's like long game
It's a recovery.
for me. Yeah,
you're
I'm
not trying to. You're not getting in on Monday and out on Friday.
Oh
It's not how it's
no, day trading? Are you kidding me? I get nervous when I do scratch tickets. Like I can't do day trading. Like that's the craziest.
Well, and two, right now, even just the stock market, it's like, look at the Dow. Last couple days, it's been like, S&P, NASDAQ, really taking hits. And then you look at like the 5-year, and it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
Exactly.
you don't even register this, drop that's
Yeah.
happened.
That's why they always say, when in doubt, zoom out, because that's what it's all about. Because the thing is too, like if I had invested everything, on the day I started, just in Bitcoin, I would be up $20,000. Just since January. So that's the thing. Like when I first got invested, Bitcoin was so not at all close to where it is now.
Yeah.
They always call it psychological levels. So you get used to the psychological level of where things are at, and what makes sense. There's one called Cardano, which is kind of like it's an Ethereum type network, but it's just a different one. And yeah, when people got into that initially, I bought all of mine at like $1.08 or whatever, and that was after going on a tear from being like 8 cents to like $1.08. Now it's at $1.80. So it's like you always have to zoom out. The only thing that's like really down right now though is Coinbase itself, like the Coinbase stock. I bought in on the IPO, and I've never done IPO before. I've never experienced that before. So I was like, I'm just going to allow myself to lose if I do. It's fine.
Right.
And so it came out and it started at like $360 a share, and it started climbing. So I got in, I bought it at like $385 a share, and then it climbed to like $470, something like that. And then all the dick faces sold, and it dropped to like 320, and it's been hovering at like 320. And then after all the Biden announcement of capital gains, and then yesterday, now it's at 260. So I'm like at less than $100 a share, more than $100 a share that I, am down on. But the thing is, again, I'm not selling. I'm not looking to day trade, playing the long game, but it's fantastic. There's two things you have to do when you're learning how to invest. Number one, you have to be okay. Like you have to do your research, but then number two, you have to decide when are you okay with failing? Like how much risk are you willing to tolerate? I'm making up for the last 20 years of not investing. So I'm willing to tolerate a lot of risk right now, because I want to make advancements. So that's why I was just like, the amount that I was going to put into Coinbase, I was going to learn. But it taught me a lot about IPOs. And in this case, if I invest in crypto again for like new projects, like ICOs, like you don't want to get in right at the moment that it's hot, And so it taught me a lot. I learned a lot about that from
it's
that
gonna be
failure.
interesting to see what happens when Elon Musk in particular, but that like it's not just Elon with the $1 billion in, like there are shadow groups, there's all this like stuff that's going on around it. It's going to be super interesting to see what happens to that stock evaluation when he's like, I've got enough for Mars, deuces, and wants out. Like, so I think actually he may have overcooked his own thing where I don't know what his price was when he bought the $1 billion worth. I don't know what his per coin.
It was around, do you mean the stock price?
When he went in for a bill, I don't know if it was like 9 cents a coin or
Bitcoin.
I have no idea.
No, Dogecoin. Oh
yeah.
I think 6 cents was where he was at.
Right. Yeah. So it's almost 50 cents right now. So yeah, again, if he dumps out right now, I don't know if he's gonna be able to ride the wave of people covering that $1 billion because
he create the crash.
He'll create the crash.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. When he decides like I'm good.
Well,
that's the kind of thing. It's like he's in that video game area now where he's got such a huge stake in it compared to everyone else that as soon as he's out, you're gonna have that window where people are like, oh, he's bailing, so people are gonna bail, but then people are also gonna be the same thing like, oh, well, it's dropping, I'm gonna buy when it drops. But then you've got I don't know. It's a super interesting thing that I don't know if he, like I said, I don't know if he's overcooked it by being in so high that he's ever going to be able to pull out. He could obviously pull his billion out, like his money in. He could obviously sell enough to pull $1 billion out because he's basically living off of interest at this point. So for him, that might have been why he did $1 billion, because he knows he's going to overcook it to the point where it's like, I go $1 billion in, all it has to do is go from 6 cents to 12 cents, and I could pull $2 billion out and still have 8 billion waiting. So it's like that might have been why he went in so hot, because he mathematically all he needed was a 12-cent gain, and he's
the exponential.
fine.
Yeah, right. When you're that big,
he's in this astronomical math component at this point. So I know it's going to be super interesting to see what happens, because at some point if he is going to take that money and use it to go to Mars, somebody's going to want a check. So he's going to have to cash the coin. Like he's going to have to get out.
Well, and part of the problem too is if the new bill passes, that was going to be, I haven't researched much on it the last couple of days, but the idea is the capital gains tax going to go from 29 to like 48%. And so, I mean, that's significant, man, when you're like investing in things like that and you're making those kinds of gains. Yeah, I think so. Something like that. Yeah. So yeah, you make $1 million in the stock market and you want to cash out, it's almost $500,000 going to taxes, in theory. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff. That crashed the stock market last week when that news came out. And then Elon crashed the crypto market with one tweet, which is, but it's also, I don't know. I think he needs the attention so badly. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think that he'll play and manipulate and do what he wants to do for as long as he can get away with it, basically.
Well, and that's what I'm saying.
And they talked about this.
Yeah, exactly.
He's $1 billion in. Like at that point, the market can do whatever it wants, and he's still fine.
Yeah.
Like if he did get in at, let's just call it 10 cents a coin. Okay. Like it can flux from 50 cents to 40 cents, and like he might have lost a bunch of money, but he's like, I'm still 3,000% off for my initial investment. Yeah. So
there's another
I'm a $3 trillion.
Yeah, right. There's another coin that was that's very cheap at the moment that got super hyped up for a while, and it was like at like an eighth. No, sorry. So it would have been like what would 0.008 be? Like
what?
Like almost a penny so 0.008. So it's like almost a penny. So whatever Dogecoin was at, and it's one of the financial dudes that I've watched every now and then on YouTube, and so it was getting hyped up. It was when NFTs were like super crazy hot, and it was even on SNL, and so it was like at 0.0085, and then it got up to 9, is almost to a penny. So he like put in 150 grand at like 0.008, and currently it's at 0.004. So it's like that's the volatility of the market, where even a person who's made his fortune in the stock market still, you're just gonna make those sorts of volatile, mistakes.
Well, especially, I feel like anyone that's come up on YouTube and is big now got to ride this wave, as opposed, with the pandemic dip, but immediately it went back up. Like, yeah, again, you pan out on 5 years, and you're looking at 2017, and it's like me in stocks.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, whoa. And so, yeah, it's been a wonderful time.
Yeah.
And who knows where we'll go in the next few years.
Yeah. They always say
inflation coming. We've got interest rates probably hiking up.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's going to be a mess to a certain extent. But I watched Jupiter's Legacy. I watched the first 2 episodes of that, and actually a lot of it takes place because they're doing flashbacks between now and the 20s, and
right.
part of the big chunk of it is during
right.
during the
Passing,
stock market crash and stuff like that. So that was
Oh,
kind of ironic. I was feeling the feels. Yeah,
What's that on?
Netflix
Okay.
just came out.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that and that popped up on my radar. I
Josh.
need to watch it.
Yeah,
Stone Cold.
Duhamel.
Duhamel?
Yeah, Josh Duhamel, Leslie Bibb, and a bunch of people, a bunch of newcomers. It's great, really great. I was super impressed. So I won't say anything about it. Definitely check it out, though. It's definitely worth a look.
Right on.
Yeah. So yeah, that was good. But yeah, funny that it's all about like because the stock market kind of crashes in one of the episodes, and I was like, I feel your pain.
Hey, we're in the roaring 20s.
Yeah, exactly. Kinda. You're getting there. But yeah, so we just burned like 45 minutes talking about Bitcoin.
That happens.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it's
I don't mind.
it's a current huge topic that is is going to affect our generations.
Absolutely.
You know, down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're watching Harry Potter.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw you
Wow.
post up an image of the first movie.
Yeah, we restarted it. I can't remember. I don't know what it was that kind of kicked it off, but it's because we went on a huge like space interest after watching For All Mankind. We watched, like I said, we watched Passengers. We watched a bunch of space stuff, and then it was just like, I want something that's just not plausible science.
Right. Give me
Yeah,
some happiness.
Yeah, give me some silliness, and then
And also, of the two of you, who is more interested in what? Or were you both equally interested in both things, space and then?
Well, so we were both interested, but For All Mankind was a good show because my interests are in the science, fantasy, whatever, and she likes history, but also like the revisionist history nature.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, it was like the perfect storm of like science and kookiness and then revisionist history. She'd seen the first couple Potters, and so I'm basically getting to expose her to.
Oh.
She's never seen it.
Just the first couple.
You only saw the first two?
Wow.
1, 2, and 3.
So okay.
That's
3 starts
fascinating.
up.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, there's a thing like nursing school, master's degree.
But I mean,
doctorate.
as a person who's such a huge like Disney nut, you would think that like the Harry Potter thing would be sort of like, oh, I should check this out and see what this is all about, you know, because it's in a similar vein of branding in a way. So,
but it suffers from the world building part where like you've really got to invest in that universe.
Mm-hmm.
So names, locations, people, history, all that stuff. And if it doesn't apply to us, then that's where the disconnect is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why revisionist history is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But brand new universe history is a little bit outside the interest realm.
Well, that's what always kind of bumped me about Harry Potter in general is that it's so made up and so fantastical that it gets a little annoying because they'll just conjure spells and say weird words out of nowhere, and you just kind of have to roll with it because it's just all made up, and it's just very
right. Yeah, when it doesn't work, they just like fudge
convenience.
it.
Yeah. What's it like going back and revisiting these actors when they're like 12 or 10 or whatever they were? It's like got to be weird, right?
It's
the
not
Christopher Columbus movies.
Yeah, it's not bad. The weirdest part is you start to notice other little things about the construction of the film, and like how the second one is really like Harry Potter and the puberty voice. Their voices just crack through the whole movie.
Yeah.
And once you notice it, you
Ron
can't not
especially.
see it. Yeah, it's just the whole movie is just puberty.
He's afraid of spiders in that one.
Yeah.
I heard Ron on the Armchair Expert. It's Dax Shepard's podcast.
Yeah.
And that was like, I don't even know how to describe it. It was like it was like listening to him wake up after every question. It was like, so What are you working on right now? What show are you working on? There's a new show called The Servant that I'm working on. And it was just like, I've never heard those two be like struggling. They were struggling so hard to like conduct this interview because he's just so British and so quiet and so, yeah. Like, and I think when you grow up doing interviews your whole life, you probably just go into any interview skeptical. Yeah. And so he did not, they're like, well, so when you were young, like, you're making some money. Like, did you buy anything? And, oh yeah, I bought a hovercraft. You're just like, that's it.
Hovercraft boring.
That's where the story ends. Excellent.
Right.
It was rough.
But no, it's good stuff. Like
Yeah.
the if anything, I appreciate the adult British actors more.
Yeah.
Alan Rickman, Maggie, all that. You're just like, wow, you guys. Because you remember we were talking about for WandaVision how Elizabeth Olsen has to just do all this weird stuff, but like
crazy
commit.
hands.
Like, imagine being in a world of magic and having to like wiggle a wand and
all commitment
commit to it.
Wingardium Leviosa. No,
Yeah.
it's like this.
Yeah. So that's why I
You
appreciate
all have
the
to do
adult.
it the same.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is like
Right.
the continuity of every character. If they do a certain spell, it has to be the same thing. They can't BS it. Where at least, Olsen, I mean, she still has to be like, when I do this, it has to be this. She's the only one doing it, at least.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
no,
that's
it's good. I'm having a lot of fun. It is fun to just get back because the world itself, like the actors do such a great job. They did such a great job constructing all these films too that you can't just like sit back and enjoy them and let the story come to you. They're really good.
Yeah, they always show them. I feel like I always end up catching them probably twice a year. Freeform, whatever.
The little Potter
families.
marathon. Yeah.
Right. Like, this last Christmas, they're always on in Christmas. I always they're on. I end up keeping it on.
Yeah.
And I pound through 40 hours of it.
Like
They are
watching
long too.
a
Yeah.
Christmas
The
story.
individual ones are like, they're like 2 to 2.5 hours.
Yeah, 2.5
each.
hours or so. Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing.
I haven't watched a Harry Potter since the last one was in theaters. That was the last time I saw it in the theater.
The Gringolds, the new ones, ones, or the.
Are you talking? No, you're not talking about Fantastic Beasts. You're talking about the
No.
Deathly
Yeah.
Hallows Part 2.
Yeah, the last movie. That was the last one that I saw it at the theater because it was one of those things where I kind of started going when they started coming out when we were in college. Yeah, like right around there, and so
Yes.
yeah, so I was
Late 90s.
yeah, early 2000s somewhere in there.
Early, maybe it was 2000,
Yeah.
2001. Yeah.
So I would just go with my friends who were really into it, who'd read the books. So I would go to the theater and see it. And so after 3 of them, you're like, well, I'm in this now, I guess. So I just kept watching and eventually got to the end and was like, well, I guess I better finish strong here and get her
Or
done.
were you just like, I guess I'll keep watching?
Well, the last movie is the best one for a lot of reasons because they're all mature and it's like the best. I think it's like the best film of them all. But it also just kind of explains everything for you, so you don't really need the first 5 because they kind of just do. They give you a nice solid recap. And so when I saw it, I was like, oh, I could have just come to this. Cool. That would have saved me about 40 hours. But all right.
Well, but I mean, yes,
Yes and no.
but
see
so
when the
another
first
thing
one
that's
was.
great about watching the films too and knowing all this stuff is that you can see where an idea was born in like the second film as just like an idea, as a plot device, but then she took the effort to make it into something much larger at the very end.
Mm.
So in like Chamber of Secrets, there's the journal, which is like, oh, Voldemort put his 16-year-old self into this journal. At the time of the writing of that story,
If you know what I mean.
at the time of the writing of that was just a mechanism to allow Voldemort to be in the second film. But by the time you get to the end, you have the concept.
I give his history. Right.
Right, a little bit of
Tom
his
Riddle.
history,
Oh,
the Tom
okay.
Riddle part. That Voldemort was a student at Hogwarts. You know whatever. But by the end, once they exposed the idea of the Horcruxes, then you're like, oh man, that's so good. That
This
something
crap
happened
was
in the
book
second.
2.
Yeah, like that's why it's like that's so good. It's that's why what she has done is successful, because there is stuff that serendipitously became something later on, that when she was writing the later books, it's like she went back and reread her first stuff and
I
said,
mean,
like, I
was
need a
it?
kid.
I don't know. Has she fessed up to if she stumbled onto it, or if it was always the plan?
Well, and
'Cause sometimes people can have like some grand idea and go, "What's my entry point?"
no,
And then
absolutely.
be like, "My entry point's way over here," and you're like, "Holy crap! You
Mhm.
found a great way
Yes.
to make this whole thing." I don't know.
Right. So again, I don't know either whether it was a serendipity thing or whether it was planning, but either way, the fact that it's there
Right.
is great.
It's planted, and she
Right.
could go
And
back
then
to it.
and then they did a good job, and it does make you wonder too if when they were filming the movies, because they were filming them before all the books were written, you're wondering too if there were a couple things that she may have mentioned to the screenwriters, like, hey, so by the way, I really need this to happen, but I can't
for
tell
sure.
you why.
Mhm.
But definitely do the following things. And they're like, why? Like, just fucking do it. Don't
Right.
question
Yeah.
me. Just make it happen.
I do have a plan. Just...
Yeah, from what I understand, that
Because-
was the case. That
Yeah.
and it's like
Yeah.
same with Game of Thrones, where he still hasn't finished the books, but was kind of like saying this is what I was gonna do or whatever. So there was definitely some of the story prepped ahead of time.
Right, the
Yeah.
biggie stuff. Because even with Harry, the lightning bolt pays off as a Horcrux. And
Right.
it's like, again, maybe she stumbled on it, and she probably did at some point, maybe, but
Well, I think if anything too,
it's always there.
Mhm.
there's the number of Horcruxes isn't a magic number, so it could have been a thing where she had the Horcrux, and then she's like, right, so how can I retcon
Mhm.
all of this stuff, the scar, the journal, the ring.
Well, I also wouldn't rule out though that like, and I've never read anything about her process or anything like that. Like, when you're writing, you definitely have an end in mind already. I mean, at least most writers do.
No,
So I feel like she probably already had a lot of this stuff on note cards and post-its on a wall, and was
As little one-off.
already had
ideas,
it
for sure,
planned.
for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think that things were necessarily an accident. I mean, it's far too elaborate for things to be, like you say, like fully retconned or whatever. I think that there's just a lot
Yeah.
of stuff, preparation that she put into
Well,
finishing it.
once you get into the third book, it's definitely like, okay. And that's why the third one's my favorite, is because the first two books are children's stories. The third book is when she's like, wait, adults are buying my
Which
stuff.
one's the third one? What's it called?
That's Prisoner of Azkaban.
Ah.
That's the one with the Dementors and the Sirius
Very
Black
old
and
man.
time travel and like all that stuff.
Mhm.
It's like that's when she's like, oh no, I need to step it up because adults are reading my book now and they're not dumb. So that's when that's when the world expanded and got enormous. And that's why that's my favorite one, is
Mhm.
because it went from like children, young adult to adult, like not adult, but like this is for people with brains that understand deep concept, and I have to do it in order to, if I want to continue to do this, I got to get there. And she did, and kudos to her. It's great.
Yeah. I've not read the books. You have, Nico?
Yeah, I
I've
read the
listened to
books.
them.
What?
That counts.
I've listened to them.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
books
that
on
counts.
TikTok.
All of them?
Yeah, I read the books when the first movie came out. I was not an
Read
original.
to the end.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, skip the first two books, but I was like, nah, I get it.
Yeah.
Some guy has a towel wrapped around his head and Voldemort's on the back of his head. Okay, I get it.
Got it. Check.
Yeah. They're a good read
Yeah.
though, because they do suffer from the fact that there's a lot of stuff that's better on paper than is better on cinema. Like the challenges to get the Sorcerer's Stone are longer and different. And then in Chamber of Secrets, there's more minutia about the Muggle-born type stuff. There's a lot more. And then like there's even a whole thing
Right.
in the books, which is the League to Free the House Elves that
Mhm.
Hermione is running. It's
Right.
I think you see a button in like the fifth movie that's it. But like that's a whole thing that's throughout.
It's just an Easter egg, right? Yeah, it's this big cause of hers. Yep.
Yeah. So there's that kind of stuff that's like it's worth reading them because they're pretty deep and in depth. And like I said, it's the third one where you can really tell like she was like, oh,
Like a
all right,
shift.
I'm gonna need to step this up a lot.
And the movies do too.
Yeah, exactly.
First, like no more Christopher Columbus. They bring in some.
It was Alfonso
foreign
Cuarón.
director. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Um,
Who reads the books and the audiobooks?
oh God, what the hell's the guy's name? So apparently in England, it's
Is it Stephen Frears or
Stephen Fry,
Stephen Fry? Yeah.
right?
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
But in the American, it's I have to look him up. Dale,
Will Wheaton.
something Dale. He's a British guy, but he's great, and he does voices for everybody.
Oh, nice.
You're just like mesmerized.
Awesome.
It's a really good audiobook.
I wonder why that had two different ones, two different people.
Probably to capture the essence of the translation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, maybe. Because it's still called Philosopher's Stone. The first one is in England, right? Which is not like a huge shift.
And
but
they said Americans are dumb. They won't know.
call it sorcerer.
Sorcerer.
They know what wizards are.
Philosopher.
And then we've got there's the Fantastic Beasts, which are not everyone is not on board with them. I'm in, but they've got the third one that's suffering from the pandemic that has this unknown. I guess it's done.
Johnny Depp disease, where it
And
Johnny Depp in the second movie, and then they were like, oh, he's.
Is it prequel-ish? Is that kind of the
100%.
the idea?
Yep.
Hogwarts or
It was 20s into 30s. Yeah.
okay? Does it take
yeah,
place at
'cause Dumbledore
Hogwarts?
was a young man.
Ah,
No, it's
Jude
well,
Law.
yes and no. It's the lead character's name is Newt Scamander. He is a graduate of Hogwarts, but he's probably like in his 20s.
is that Eddie Redmayne?
Yeah,
He's
Gotcha.
a Hufflepuff.
yeah. But he comes to America, so it opens up the American component of the wizarding world,
Gotcha.
where they have the Makuza, which is like the magical. Yep, that. It's like the Magical Association and something of the United States of America or something like that.
Right.
But
Their
it's
own houses. One of them's out here, of course.
yeah.
Yeah,
By Salem.
Boston House.
Yeah.
Who does Johnny
So-
Depp play in the movie?
He plays
Grindelwald.
Grindelwald, who is Grindelwald was the Voldemort equivalent. He was the one who inspired Voldemort of the whole like only purebloods should be taught magic, and also that we shouldn't hide. It's kind of like the whole vampire thing where it's like we're superior. Why are we hiding?
Mm-hmm.
That was the
We should
Grindelwald
rule
thing.
the world.
We should rule.
And look at what these humans are doing. They're just going to destroy their world. They
Yeah.
suck. They're dumb. And he's like pals with Dumbledore when they're younger.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And Dumbledore's a little more gray area when he's younger. And so they kind of diverge, and then they have to come back and fight each other.
And so, is he in the third movie or not? Johnny
Unknown.
Depp.
They
They recast him into Johnny Depp from Colin Farrell. Colin
really?
Farrell played the character in the first movie.
Oh,
And then it was like,
right, but
oh,
he's
in
hiding, though.
disguise.
Yeah, he's
in
hiding.
disguise as someone else, and then they go, "Oh, it's Glungledork the whole time," and they wave a wand, and he becomes Johnny Depp with David Bowie eyes.
was that intended? Was that something that was intended?
Yes, he's hiding. Yeah, Grindelwald did bad things, and then disappeared, and then this guy comes into the ranks in the Order's office in the United States, but it's really kind of Grindelwald like infiltrating the Makuza to kind of like root it out from the inside.
Okay, so it
and then
wasn't
he gets
like
exposed.
Colin Farrell was like, "I hate this movie, I'm out."
No,
and
no,
so
no,
they
no,
recast
no.
Johnny
It
Depp.
was the
Gotcha.
The switch
Yeah,
was
that was
intended.
Yeah.
Because it happens at the end of the first movie.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then you've got
And you're like, oh,
second
it's hot topic Johnny Depp now. Okay.
yes.
All right. Basically, like old Edward Scissorhands sort of look. Yeah.
But he did a really good job because he didn't play like the Jack Sparrow Johnny Depp,
Mm-hmm.
No.
which was really like, even though it was Johnny Depp, I was like, oh, this is actually really good. I'm not mad at this Johnny Depp.
Mm-hmm.
Like he actually took a serious part, I guess, I mean, semi-serious part but he didn't make it this like wild, kooky, magical, whimsical
Right.
that you would think.
Mhm.
But he's like, no, I'm not. Well, he's also got a character where it's like Thanos. Like he's not wrong. Like from his perspective, he's kind of making a good point. Like
Oh, he
'cause
has
they
like
talk-
there's one point. Yeah, sorry, can I? The scene where he's got all these other wizards. He's been like trying to get wizards into his ranks, right? And he has them all in like amphitheater or something.
it's like an arena, yeah.
Yeah, this arena, and he has this like spooky skull, and it's like a projector, and he shows World War II that hasn't happened yet, and he's like, "Look at what these humans are gonna do. They suck. We should take over the world."
Yeah, he's like that was the
Interesting.
thing where he was like, this is going to happen. Our seers have seen this. They've prophesized the genocide. Like we need to step in now to stop this from happening. But I'm the bad guy.
Right.
That's why it's a really interesting character, because it's like from a perspective, from a hindsight perspective, he's kind of not wrong. His methods might be a little questionable, but he's not wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, humans suck, so maybe. Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to check it out. Is it worth?
But now
you
I
think?
don't know who's gonna play that character in the third one.
It's
Yeah.
I
tough.
have to
Yeah.
change it again.
Yeah.
So I mean,
They
Another
do
brunette white
part
guy?
ways.
but it's magic, so they could easily like whoop whoop somebody else.
It's gonna be.
Viola Davis.
They're fun. They're fun because it also deals
Just
with
Octavia Spencer.
it
I'll
deals
do
with
it.
more of the
Yeah.
like the magic, the nature, like magic and magical creatures and stuff like that. So again, it's more world building, more universe building and construction. So
Yeah.
if you get behind the Newt Scamander part of it, you're okay.
I
Yeah.
think the hard thing is it's a little bit. I don't want to say Phantom Menace-y. Like, there's no main character, especially in the second one. You're like, because
Right.
in the first one, you're like, it's Newt Scamander. It's him trying to find his creatures, and you're getting hinted into this bigger world that's happening.
Yep.
With Dumbledore and Grindelwald and all that. But then the second movie, it's like, it's Dumbledore's kind of there, and Grindelwald's there, and Newt's still there, but you're like, why is Newt still here? And so your main protagonist from the first movie is no longer really the guy for the rest
Right.
of these movies,
Mm.
because it's going to end in this big duel between Grindelwald and Dumbledore.
Yep.
It's this like
Right.
epic, famed duel that happens, and we already know what happens. It's the Titanic, but
Well, it's funny because that's what's kept me from watching the movies, is because the first one is just the posters are all like Eddie Redmayne with his flowing scarf, like going like this, and it's like I've seen, a lot of his
Yeah.
movies. I'm good on that character. Like we're
It's
set.
fun though.
But yeah, maybe I'll check it out.
If you go in with the mindset of fun,
it's,
then
yeah,
it's-
and the first one too has a very touching. I found there's one of the witches and this like schlubby Muggle dude like have this little romance. It's very sweet. It's very unexpected. And you're like, oh, no, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So there's
Yeah.
goodness in there.
yeah, I'll check
Yeah.
it out.
it's a
But
lot
yeah,
of fun.
the second movie is just there's a lot and it's a little unfocused.
Oh, and tonally, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Right.
So are these
So,
based
yeah,
on
I
her
don't know what
books?
the third one's gonna be.
Well,
It's like The Hobbit. That's what I was trying to say earlier.
Oh.
It's like she made this little tiny, cute little kids book called
Yep.
Fantastical Beasts and Where to Find Them, and they're hobbitizing it into a giant
To four
Yes.
movies. Yeah.
important
Yeah.
trilogy.
Gotcha.
Prequel trilogy.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
yeah, she's backfilling content from. I think I've got it on my shelf. It's like 30 pages.
Wow. Well, I mean, you can never have enough money, May as well.
Especially
Invest
if everyone
in
hates you now.
Yeah.
Wizard
You're
coin.
anti-trans.
What does she do?
whatever is.
What does she do? She's anti-trans?
She's
Yeah.
made some statements.
People hate her.
Oh no, I didn't know that we canceled her. Well, bummer.
Yeah. She got but she's not officially canceled.
Oh.
She's still a woman that wrote a thing.
That's
like
true.
Ellen.
Single mom wrote a
Ellen's
book.
show's ending, but she didn't really get canceled.
All right.
It seems
Because
like
she's
she
still
She
a
just said
lovable
she
game
said
show
it wasn't
host.
a challenge anymore.
Yeah.
And I'll give her credit for almost 20 years of television to put out 5 shows a day for 20
It's
years,
crazy.
you're gonna run out of ideas.
Yeah.
You're gonna hit a wall where you're like,
Oh yeah.
what are we doing? Are we just giving away more?
I
shit?
can't
shows
even
a week, you
imagine.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Not 5 a day.
I
5 a
mean,
month.
she could have banged them all out in one day.
Yeah.
That's true.
I get 6 days off.
Well, I know that still, I think, but was I reading something? I was just curious. It's like, I wonder how often Wheel of Fortune actually shoots. And yeah, I think that they shoot it on like Tuesday and Wednesday, and they do all of it.
The whole
So
week,
so the whole week just gets done in 2 days or whatever. So like Pat Sajak gets paid $3 million a year to work 8 days a month. It's beautiful. It's brilliant. But you get to that point because it's just like, why would
Family
we?
Feud, I'm sure it's the same way.
Yeah.
all those shows because
Yeah.
it just makes more sense. Pile everyone in.
Mm-hmm.
Rent. You have the studio space then.
And I would assume Ellen does
Figure
that
'em out.
to a certain extent as well.
Well, a lot of like late night shows, I feel they would do, or Letterman, I feel they would, film maybe 2 on Thursday or something. You know, there was always some cheat, so then Friday they would have off.
Yeah. Yeah, may as well.
Yeah, it's all segments or something like pre-filmed segments.
That's
but-
what I would do. That's why we only do this once a week because we don't need to do it more. So we're making that cheddar.
Yeah.
Making that good cheddar.
That
We got like $5.80
bit cheese.
in our account.
You know what
So,
you should do with that?
kind of a big deal. What?
Dividends.
Should I invest it in? You
Dump
want
it into
Bitcoin or
coin, man.
Ethereum? Yeah. I mean, it's gonna appreciate.
Bro.
Diversify.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I'm
Sure.
semi-joking and also
Yeah,
semi-serious.
may as
like-
well, right?
Well, it's one of those things. Like I've always joked about how there's certain things that I want to do, but the whole point would be like any profit for that is considered beer money. Like it's I'm not using it to leverage a mortgage or anything like that. But it's like if somebody gave us $5,
Mm-hmm.
roll that into, and if it
Yeah.
fails, okay. But if it goes bonkers town, okay.
Also, okay. Yeah.
We've got $8 in a month.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, our yeah, it's from ad revenue. I feel like it's
that
just
me
because
watching
Nico
it on
listens. Yeah,
Spotify?
because you listen on Spotify, so somehow that's making us money. Yeah.
So can we just have an autoplay so we're just listening to it like in a loop? Can we create our own ad revenue by just having it play in the background?
I think
Probably.
somehow. Well, I couldn't because I think everything like it's coming from my IP address that's
Yeah.
uploading it, so I can't. But you can, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
But if the internet's
have
listening,
to-
no. JK, maybe. It's
JK,
not. We're not breaking
Hashtag.
anybody's banks right now. Yeah, we're not selling the Dogecoin or
But
anything.
two,
So
it's not like I'm the first one to have.
yeah, to think about that. Yeah. Well, yeah, I saw that.
The idiot to say it out loud.
Yeah, yeah. Because Armchair Expert, they're moving exclusively to Spotify. So I'm curious about what their payday was. Because Rogan got $100 million to go exclusively to Spotify. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's what makes me laugh about there's certain, this is why money is just such an interesting and fun thing to
And you
talk
move
about
to
and
it, yeah.
discuss, because there was on Twitch, there was 2 predominant Fortnite players, Shadow and Ninja. And then Microsoft is like, oh, well, we have this thing called, I don't even remember what it's called anymore, but Microsoft on Xbox had their own, Mixer, I think it was what it's called. It was called Mixer. And so Ninja and Shadow were playing Fortnite on Twitch, and Microsoft is like, hey, come be exclusive on Mixer. And they gave them like $50 million or something like that. Let's just say today they're back on Twitch because Mixer failed.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's one of those like these silly, like, we'll just give you a bunch of money and it's going to
Yeah.
work. And it did.
Well, back in the day, you've heard of Gary Vee, right? Gary Vaynerchuk. He's a big entrepreneur, guy, and he kind of came to fame doing a wine show on YouTube, and this was like mid 2000s YouTube. So it was kind of when being a YouTuber wasn't really a thing, but people were making money on YouTube. It just wasn't as widely, done, and so he had like the third most popular show on YouTube at one point, and so a new app called Vidler got him to sign with them exclusively for a percentage of their of their business to come and do videos just on their platform exclusively. And of course, I think 8 months later he was back on YouTube because it did not go well. Yeah.
You're destroying my mojo.
Yeah. And it completely failed. So, but Vine was like that, and a few other things were sort of a flash in the pan.
And I think too are things that were just a little too early. It was the right idea.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't ready.
Oh yeah, like Periscope is a good example. Periscope was Twitter's live app. So it was just a person just live streaming their camera,
Or whatever,
on their phone, or on their laptop or whatever. So it was that, but it completely failed. And then, but part of it too is because the other apps did it better, like Instagram, Facebook, all those things did live streaming, just did it better, YouTube. Yeah. So didn't really work. And also people were like doing this. It's like how I watched a lot of UFC fights was because people would just set up their phone and they would just stream the pay-per-view fight. So you would have to find them. But then if it started getting too many likes, it would get attention from the algorithm. It would see it and then it would shut it down. So you always had to hop around the country watching other people's feeds. Sometimes it was like, the only place I could watch it was some guy's feed in Russia. So it was Russian commentators doing their thing. So it's kind of fun, yeah.
Well, that has to be hard with UFC because it's not like it's long fights. So.
Right, yeah. Ooh, the last one 2 weekends ago, I was at Sarah's place, and she's great. She is totally down with like watching the fights. Jury's out if she really enjoys it or is like just being super, super, super wonderful to me. But we turned it on. Yeah, watch some naked guys rolling on each other. But we got in just as Chris Weidman, who is one of the bigger stars in UFC, broke his shin on another guy's leg doing a kick. Yeah, like it hot dogged that way when he hit it. Boom, boom. Because we turned it on because put her, our kiddo to bed, came down, bought the pay-per-view, and right as the pay-per-view popped up, it was the contender, the guy who was facing was like on the ground, kind of like kneeling, and you hear Joe Rogan and the other guys going, "Oh no, oh that's terrible, oh no," and we're like, "What is going on?" And so finally, Rogan's like, "Okay, we're gonna show this. Do not watch." And I had already looked it up on the phone to find out what was going on because I was like, "What is going on?" And so I was like, maybe you should watch this. And so, then they showed it and it's just like, oh man, you just snapped that thing right over like a flat. But it's crazy because it's chicken wings.
Like sideways?
It like hit it halfway. He hit it on the other guy's shin and then it just snapped his leg literally in half. And so it's flopping. But you don't know. You see him wince because it hurts. But the only time you know is when then he steps back to land on it and he falls down. Because the leg is completely broken in half. I know.
That's the worst part.
Is
it's my body says if I do these things I should be able to stand.
Yeah.
And then when that thing isn't there and it goes, you're like,
it was gross.
Just thinking of now this sharded up broken bones.
Yeah, that's what's going down.
Veins and muscles that are now interacting with it as he's doing extra stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was watching the game where Dak Prescott broke his ankle.
I was actually just thinking.
Yeah, I was watching that game too. Like, he like steps and JJ Watt falls on him, and then you look at him and he's like slamming his leg into the ground trying to like pop it back into place because he literally snapped his ankle in half and it rolled sideways. Yeah, it was pretty gruesome. Yeah.
That's tough
Eddie
stuff,
McCaffrey,
man.
remember that one?
No, what happened to him? I forget.
This is like literally the day before 9/11. The Broncos play a game. He goes up for a catch, I think, and someone like slams and it's like a shin or ankle thing.
Oh, I don't remember that. Yikes.
And then 9/11 happened the next day.
So a bigger tragedy. Speaking of Broncos are playing in New York on 9/12, so I'm not watching that game because I'm not going to go through that shit. Like, I'm not going to. It's 20th anniversary. All it's going to be is just 9/11 bullshit. There's no way, 0% chance I'm watching that nonsense. We're obsessed with it. We're obsessed with memorializing this tragedy. It's disgusting. We're obsessed with memorializing tragedy. I don't get it.
We're obsessed with memorializing, but then it's not like we're doing anything. You know, it's like the Jon Stewart thing where he's like, what about all these firefighters that are dying of cancer now and the people that help the cleanup? We're all like, feels like work. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, 200,000 people in the country have died of COVID, but because 2,000 people died in a flash tragedy, that's something that we can really like attach to. But then also it's all wrapped up in patriotism and jingoism and all, so that's where it just goes off the rails.
From the other.
So that's where I'm just like, no, I'm not doing it. It's just, ugh, it's gross.
Yeah, 500,000 people die, and we're like, fake news.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well,
So
although
I don't know if you saw it. I was checking my phone. The CDC just announced that fully vaccinated people can now be in public. Sans mask and social distancing rules no longer apply.
And I can lick whatever I want. That's what they told. That's what they said.
Yeah. The
just lick it all.
Look, officer.
There's interesting things afoot. So,
well,
our governor here in Nevada, is being careful, is agreeing with the CDC and saying you're right. If you have, if it's 14 days past your second dose and you can prove it, you don't need a mask in public. Now, how that's going to be enforced?
Yeah, we can't be doing like, show
please.
us your yellow star. Yeah, exactly. It's not a thing. Here's the thing. At a certain point in time, we got to rip the Band-Aid off. We just have to do it. Like, we got to just rip the Band-Aid off and just like get after it. Yeah. Is that, I think I told you about the draft. That was the thing where like the NFL draft a couple weeks ago, they had everybody who was allowed to go to the draft in person in the crowd and in the tables, and everybody were fully vaccinated. So everybody had to have both shots or however it was to be able to get in there. But they still had everyone wearing masks and 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
So what the fuck's the point? Like what point in time are we going to go?
Because it's still like this. We're still in this example setting.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Right. And I get that.
But it's true. Like, pragmatically and realistically, you go. The people who don't want to get vaccinated and are being trolls online about all this are going to walk around like they're vaccinated. And are we going to go check them,
Right.
So I think cities are having to go, do we want to give privilege to those who are fully vaccinated, knowing that the stubborn people are going to be spreading this around to other stubborn people who are going to get sick and will probably die.
Yeah, because I'm going to be fine.
See many spikes anyway.
Right. The part
of this.
The really like
exactly
robotic math of this is somebody is getting to the point where it's like the reason that my employer was able to open up back to 100% capacity is because we hit over 80% employee vaccination. This magical number that says as soon as your employees get 80%, we're herd, you can reopen at 100% capacity. There's somebody somewhere doing the math saying, all right, so let's just assume masks are no longer required. You can lick a light pole if you want to. People are going to get sick. But do we have the medical capacity to take care of it? And that's the part nobody's ever going to like cop to, but that's literally what's happening is that
that was the conversation for us.
Right. Somebody's looking at adjusted scale and saying, assume everybody who is not in the pool gets sick. Do we have the capacity to treat? And they're saying at this point, we do. So it's like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing we do now.
Like I'm fully vaxxed and it's been more than 14 days since my vaccination. I got the green light to not wear a mask in public. Am I still going to do it for a bit? Yes. And here's why. Andrea can't get the vaccination. So you
get the virus still, which you can.
That's right. That's the thing. So this isn't
carry it.
this isn't this like bra burning thing. It's like I'm still going to wear a mask. I'm still going to be smart about it because there's still people around me that are susceptible to what's currently happening.
And
So, yeah.
I really like being in public places, and maybe people can't tell it's me. I just enjoy that. I'm just gonna wear a mask all the time now because it's kind of fun. Is it just like?
And most all of us look better with a mask on.
It's true. It's true. That's what I'm saying, man.
Cover noses and mouths.
Yes.
And you just see eyeballs.
Yeah.
I'm not a 5-head, which is my downside. But
Do you wear a head mask
I don't know
too?
what you're talking about. But
Yeah. That's what when I was in Malaysia in particular, which is a Muslim country, and a lot of the women, well, all the women are wearing something around the head, their face is covered, but a lot of girls are still, wearing the full face gear. I was like, it's not working because I find it attractive because that's the whole point. Is like it's supposed to like keep you from but I'm just like, I don't know, man. The eyes are fine. Yeah, it's like what's the dealio?
My mind is filling in the rest, and I'm filling it in.
And I
very well.
like it.
That's
Yeah.
That's what I've learned.
Yeah.
Like I want to make the meme. I don't know if I've said it here, but it's like I think Roger Rabbit's done. I feel like I don't know if Aladdin or something where it's like the belly dancer and it's like oh, seductive, and then she pulls down her mask. She's like, ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, ugh. Like that's. What
But you've
we're
got it the
going
other
to
way.
get towards as a society.
Yeah.
Well,
She
I don't
pulls
know.
down the mask.
No, I think it still helps.
Yeah. Just keep the mask on.
Say, how strong is that jaw?
Yeah. No, it looks good. Like Johnny Depp. It's perfect.
That used to be a good thing.
Yeah. All
Not
right.
anymore.
Now they just figure you're just
I'm just a straight white man that looks like Johnny Depp, but that's not a good. It's not helping me.
drunk on red wine and broke. Yeah. He sold your
90
Mumbling.
rings.
sold your town in
50
France.
necklaces.
Yeah.
You ever seen his little town in France that he owned or owned? Yeah, owned. It was like a property, but it was actually at one point an actual town.
Like
yeah.
a village.
Yeah, like a little village. Yeah. He just went ahead and bought a village.
Altered, like how Italy, you can just do that.
Yeah.
Because no jobs there.
Like the
Yeah.
Wild West, where you
Just
just
buy
own
yourself
a
a
town.
castle.
Deppville.
Be wonderful. I'm down for that.
I'll make a Hill Valley. Let's style it out like
oh,
Back to
you
the
can do
Future.
Hill Valley. Oh my God.
Mm.
I still need. So if anybody out
Something
there
to
who's
think about.
listening,
That
if
Dogecoin.
anybody works at Hillshire Farms, I want a tracksuit that has the Hillshire Farms logo on it.
But it needs to be Hillshire, like you're a hobbit. It needs
Exactly,
to be. Yeah, you need a picture of you as a hobbit.
Oh, I made a joke with Fred a
Hillshire.
long time ago that if I ever owned, because at one point I was interested in purchasing Fort Morgan Printing, which I think I talked about.
for
But
sale,
I was
yeah.
going to open up a T-shirt printer as well, and I would make so many like novelty, just one-off T-shirt. That would be my
your
entire
own.
wardrobe would be like knockoff.
All about the novelty.
T-shirts, 100%, absolutely. Hillshire Farms, it's like a Hobbit. Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, would you make? Okay, Andrea, I got you a shirt. I'm not wearing a shirt that says Queen of the Hill. No, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, not happening.
All right, folks. Well, I think we'll call it a night. How do you feel about that?
That's a fun one.
Talking about hot dogging. Yeah. Yeah, we didn't even talk about movies. It's pretty good. Yeah, I know. You should check it out. You should look it up on the YouTube. Find the old chicken wing.
I've seen that happen literally in UFC when a guy kicks and his shin goes. Bleep.
Okay, so here's what's crazy. So the two guys that were fighting in
I
that
haven't
fight.
seen it in 4K.
Yeah, right. Chris Weidman is the one fighter. He's the one who broke his leg on the guy's leg. So the last time that happened in the UFC, Anderson Silva was the fighter who broke his leg. He broke his leg on Chris Weidman's leg. So the guy who broke his leg the other week was the guy who was fighting the last guy who broke his leg.
How long ago was that?
It's been like 7 years or something, 6 or 7 years.
Drink your milk, kids.
But then, super weird too, the dude that Chris Weidman was fighting, who he broke his leg on, was the last person to beat Anderson Silva when he came back, and he's back in the league. It was like this weird, like, circular thing that all happened. But it's so weird that the two guys who've done it fought each other, and the last time he did it, It was just like, it was weird. Yeah, super strange.
Because they're what what, like middleweight?
Yes, I
They're not
believe
light,
so. Yeah, middleweight. Yeah, because they're not light heavy.
They're not the bruisers that
Yeah.
like last 5 seconds
I
because
love it.
one of them just connects right
Yeah.
away. And
I
that's
love it. I love the
are
heavyweight
great.
fights. The dudes who
With two
just throw
tanks.
haymakers.
Whoa.
Yeah.
One of them connects.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because none of them have a chin. None of them can take a punch. So, and they don't have any cardio
Well,
at all.
And it's just
It's not just that. You've got 400 pounds of force.
Yeah, yeah, going at your
We're not
face.
designed to take that.
Yeah. Oh, have you watched those slap battles in Russia? Those are
I've
freaking
seen
crazy.
Some clips.
Yeah.
Ridiculousness.
Yeah, those are crazy. The dude just like get slapped in the face and they're like, raw. They're excited about it. It's nuts. I don't understand
Nope.
physical violence.
no
It's
back
not my
teeth.
thing. Yeah, I like watching it though. Yeah, I just couldn't.
how you
I could not
finish
get
your night
into the
right
ring.
on the bed.
Yeah, if you know what I mean.
All right.
All right, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Smoking Hot Nerds podcast, Nerds After Dark, sponsored by Zima. We haven't had a sponsor read in a while to get one of those for next week. Yeah. Well, thank you for listening to the podcast, and we will see you all next